Hello, Nick family. Welcome to my channel, Dope Soul Sports Talk, a member of the NBK Network. I'm joined by resident analyst Jarrell, Gavin, Staffer, and we're here to talk about the NBA draft. So I'm gonna ask the first question, and then when we go around, you guys can say how you're doing, and then answer the question. We're gonna get right into it. On Queen's Court on the NBK Network, we went over wing prospects. We talked about AJ Griffin, Johnny Davis. Who else we talked about? Dyson, Daniels, and there was one,
Daniels.
and Benedict Mathurin. And then I also put out a video on those same four guys in the order in which I like them. But the question for the panel is, with the glut we have at the wing position, we still have Fournier and Burks. As much as we want to, the fan base wants to move on from them, they're still here. We got Cam, we got Grimes, we got RJ Barrett. IQ um, is a combo guard. You can play the point guard and the shooting guard. With all of that talent that we have on the wing position, are we wasting a pick if we pick a wing? All right, Jarrell,
Oh, okay,
how are
my
you?
bad.
And we'll start with you. How you doing? And
Oh,
then after that, what do you think?
my bad. Salute to
No,
everybody.
it's
Salute to
okay.
Steph, Staffer, um, Gavin. Salute to the whole crew. Salute to everybody that's going to be in the chat and everybody in the chat now. Do I think it would be a waste? I think it depends on who the player is and how much the upside is. Like my favorite wing is Ben Mathurin, just like yours, I believe. So I don't think it's a waste if we pick him. It's just that if we value our young guys so much, if we do pick somebody like that, we have to know that either the pick that we pick is it going to play that much, or somebody like Cam or Grimes is going to be out in the cold when it comes to the minutes. So I don't think it'll be a waste. I think it just depends on who it is. Take a guy like Shaden Sharp, right? He's obviously young. He's only 18 years old. So if we say he falls to 11 and we get him,
Mm.
he's not. That's not a waste because we can stash him in the G League for a year. I think regardless of whoever drafts him, he won't play next year.
Okay.
If he does, it'll be like his sparring minutes, depending on who we go to. But I don't see him getting a lot of burn next year. So I don't think it's necessarily a waste. But personally, I would rather us draft a center because I don't think we're keeping Mitch. But that remains to be seen until the draft and the free agency starts. So
Okay. All right. Good point, Staffer. How are you, sir?
Um, I'm doing fine. Another dope show again. Appreciate you having me on. Salute
Of
to
course.
Gavin, Jarrell. You already know, MBK people. The chat. Salute, salute, salute. Um, I wouldn't, as I have to agree with a couple things that Jarrell said. I wouldn't think it's a waste depending on the player that we draft. But if we don't decide to keep that pick, I wouldn't mind um not drafting a wing, but drafting down. I mean, well, trading down that pick and probably trying to get trade for an established point guard or something like that, because that's one of the areas that we need a lot of a floor general. So I would trade the pick
Mhm.
to try to get a established floor general if we don't pick a particular wing that's at, Ben is my guy too. So let's say, for instance, we do pick Ben, right? That wouldn't be a waste. You understand what I'm saying? So, we will groom him. We'll teach him the ropes of being a professional in New York. But at the same time, I wouldn't mind if we did trade that pick to get a veteran point guard to come on this team.
So you're saying not even trading down for a another draft prospect. You're saying trading down, basically trading out of the draft to get somebody who's played in the league.
Yeah, yeah. Basically, if a
Okay.
floor general or something like that, that know how to run a team and that has size to come with it. I mean, I hear the rumors of the Brogdon thing, and it cringes me. You understand? But it's just the fact that his length, his size, his wingspan, and he's excellent on defense. But it's just his injury. His injury worries me a lot. So but I wouldn't mind, as I said, I wouldn't mind trading the pick and probably a player on the team that somebody got to go like a Noel, you know, or I'm sorry fans or even Cam probably might have to go, So that's how I'm looking at it.
Okay. So would you, given this draft, I don't know how weak or strong you think the draft is, but given this draft, would you give up the 11th pick to Indiana for Brogdon or even Turner, the center, both of them who have a history of injuries?
Well, I will more probably take the chance on Brogdon
Mm-hmm.
than Turner because he has a plastisch fasciitis, however you say it,
Mm-hmm.
and that is a injury that comes and goes, and I really don't know how that's gonna really work out. So, and plus, we could get a center in this draft, even if we don't get Duran or Mark Williams. There's still some good centers out there, like the center, the kid from Arizona, the two centers that actually play for
Coloco.
Arizona. I'm sorry,
Coloco.
Coloco, right? So I like him too. And then he has a backup also that's also good also too. What's his name, Garvin? Do you know his name? The backup?
I don't know the backup's name.
I
Yeah.
know the
So I
backup's name.
mean, we could draft. I think we got the number 42 pick or something like that. I believe
Yes.
the second round. So we could probably draft him in the second round and get a center or trade down and get an next center. So it all depends.
Okay. Gavin, how are you? And your thoughts on in this particular draft, and given what our roster is, do you think we're wasting a pick if we pick a wing?
Salute Steph. Salute Stafford, Jarrell. Appreciate you having me back on. Steph, as always, salute to the chat. I don't think that it's a waste, but I think for the Knicks, if I'm them, I'm having a concrete game plan of what I want to do in the draft. So I think that, you have your 2 to 4 players that you're really targeting on, and that you're like, hey, we'd like to take at our 11th pick. And I think that if you don't get those guys for what fits in our system, I'm with Staffa. I'm more along the lines of I'd rather trade down or almost out of the draft and get an experienced point guard. I think the biggest thing with this draft and with this team is because we're already so young and we already have so many wings on our roster. I think it's the thing that, like we talked about a lot and last night on the Queen's Court, is drafting somebody who do you see them taking minutes from, you know? And I don't think, see, the thing with our young guys is, you give them another 2 years, they're going to be out of there. It'll be the time either to sign them or trade them away. And my thing is, within those 2 years, how much playing time are we going to get to see from our rookie draft picks to determine, who we want to keep, who we want to go. Um, I My person that I'm looking at is my favorite player in this draft is Matherin. That's probably for me, that's probably the only person that I would take a for sure bet on and be like, hey, if he's there at 11, I'm taking him. But I'm not one of these people that's for just taking the best player available, because I think that sometimes taking the best player available and having nowhere to play them hurts yourself and also hurts that player. Um, so I would like us to see, like I said, have 2 to 4 players that you're like, all right, if they're here at 4, we're going to go ahead and take them. And if not, I'm trading back in the draft to get an experienced point guard, because I think that, like Staff said, I think you can go get a center somewhere in the later first at the 42nd pick or even later down the line. Or if it really comes to it, if we don't get Mitch back and for some reason Noel is still healthy and we have him here, I think that we can skate by next year. enough to still figure that out. But like I said, but at least our biggest thing for these last few seasons is we need a point guard. We can get a center, but if we don't have somebody who can facilitate the offense, set the center up, set other guys up in position to me, I think that you just have it's kind of a waste just to have a big out there and still nobody to really be a floor general out there.
So you're for trading out as well. And
Yes.
you and Stafford said the same thing, but do you have an NBA player in mind, an NBA point guard that you think would be available that we can get with the 11th pick? Now, I think because of Brogdon's injury history, maybe just the 11th pick would do it. But anybody else, I think we're going to have to give up more than just the 11th pick. I guess it depends on the level of point guard you're talking about.
So for me, and this is kind of pointing to something that Berman said earlier on NBK, is that they don't see really IQ as the point guard of the future. And one thing for me is one thing that I don't like about what the Knicks always do is they'll have somebody who plays a role for their whole high school, college career, and then they come in and they try to change them into something they're not. Like to me, quickly is that guy that comes off the bench, scores in bunches, gives you momentum, almost like a Tyrese Maxey is for the Sixers. Like him and Quickly play like the exact same game. The only difference is they allow Maxey to go out there and be a scorer, but that's because they have Embiid and Harden who can take the ball out of his hands. So for me, like I like Brogdon, but injury history for me is just always worrisome. And the Knicks have a great history of signing people coming off an injury, they go back getting injured, or signing somebody who is starting to go out of their prime a little bit, and we don't really reap the benefits of their production. Somebody that I like that I think is available, and maybe the 11th pick is maybe too much for him, but maybe just the 11th pick gets it done, is I like Tyus Jones, because I think that when you have Randall and you have RJ and Fournier in the starting lineup, Tyus isn't somebody who's really going out there looking to score the ball. Like he is one of the guys left that is still kind of the definition of a true classic point guard. He's going to come in, he's going to give you scrappy defense. Like I said, he's not going to turn the. I think he was one of the leaders in the lowest assist to turnover ratio, if I'm not mistaken, last year in the league. And we saw that when Ja went out, how he was still able to lead the offense and facilitate the offense and carry them to, I think it was like 20-9 or something like that. And I think that, like I said, you don't put all that pressure on Quickly to come out here and be a playmaker and be a point guard. You can allow him to go out there and play his natural game as a scorer with that second unit. But what you do with Tyus Jones, like I said, you have somebody who can still bring the ball up, facilitate the offense, but somebody who will play off the ball, doesn't need the ball in his hands to be productive, and can set guys up, in the proper positions.
Yes.
I'm about to say I got a question too. Go ahead,
Um,
Cesar.
Gavin, are you? I like the Jones kid, right? But are you worried about when they switch on to bigger guards that they might pick on him and probably post him up or just shoot over him? Are you? Because I like all his intangibles. He's a winner, and I get it. When John Moran was out, he carried the team. Good, but are you worried about when teams was going to pick on him?
Not really. I think. I mean, I guess you can make that same argument for like IQ. It's still people because he's not that strong of a defender, and his body stature is still small. He's a leaner guy for his position, so um, I'm not that worried about it. Um, no, I'm not. I'm not that worried about it. Like I said,
He's
I think it's.
unrestricted though. So I don't even know if we can trade for him unless it's
Oh
a
yeah,
signing
yeah, right.
Uh,
unless it's
Sign
a
and trade.
sign and trade. Yeah, he's unrestricted. So that's the thing. I like him as well. We may be able to sign him outright with the mid-level exception. At this point, it's I think 10.3 million. I don't
Right.
know if he'll accept that or if he feels like that's too low. But we might be able to sign him with just the mid-level exception and keep the 11th pick
Hmm.
for for something else. But the same issue defensively, and then we'll get back, and Joel, I'll get to you. The same
Mm.
issue, Stafford, defensively that you have with Tyrus is going to be the same. Tyrus is going to be the same thing with oh man, what's
Quickly,
his name from Dallas?
Brunson.
Brunson,
Bronte,
because he's six
Bronson.
one as well. He's a
Right.
stocky 6'1", but he's still 6'1".
Right.
I mean, I if that's the case, I'd rather just go ahead and just draft Dyson Daniels if he comes at 11 because he mostly it has the size. He's long. He has a great wingspan and he plays excellent defense. And he gets steals. How much you said, Queen? Like point 0.8, something like 0.8 or something like steals
Mm-hmm.
last year in the G League.
No,
You know, he was
1.9 steals, almost two
Yeah, almost
steals,
two.
right,
zero
almost two
point
steals,
eight blocks.
0.8 blocks. You know what I mean? And you know you can't fight him off screens. He's going over the screens. He's good in the pick and roll defense. So I mean, if that's the case, just give me guys.
So you want size
Yeah,
at
because
that point guard position.
yeah, because it matters right now in these NBA games. Unless you're not a dynamic point guard like Steph,
Hmm.
which you ain't gonna see again, you know, it's you really gotta have size and length to really stop these kind of guys, from getting to their spots. You can't stop these kind of things, as long as you got long wingspan defense. And that's just in my opinion.
Yeah, of course, of course. Jarrell, you wanted to ask a question or
Yeah, I
you
was
had
just
something?
gonna ask. Like, I'm all for trading the 11th pick. If you're gonna trade it, cool. But are you willing? When are you making that trade? Are you willing to make it before the draft even happened, or do you want it to be like a draft night trade that you can see who's on the board first and then make the trade?
Wow. I mean,
Because teams might not want to do that. That's what I'm saying. Like, it all depends on who's the team you're talking to.
See, I think that that's actually a good point. See, I think I guess it would also depend for other teams too. Like you said, would it behoove them to wait to see who's on their draft
Mm-hmm.
board and say, all right, we can trade up, or I guess sometimes that trading before the draft can kind of tip your hand a little bit, and that can kind of sometimes reshuffle draft orders to what GMs are thinking. So I
True.
guess that it would really depend on. I guess that would have to be a conversation with the GMs in the front office. Say, look, who do you like in the draft? Who are you? Who do you? Who fits you guys' scheme and your offensive style and
Right.
defensive style that you think that you can get at 11? And for certain GMs, there may be somebody who we think is a late first round pick, and they're like, if we can jump up and take him at 11, we'll take him at 11 right now. And that's the thing with the draft is
Yeah.
anybody can fall, and sometimes you get
Yep.
these surprise picks like, oh, he's a lottery pick, but like I said, Oklahoma City may be thinking something completely different, than we are, and then what the draft order is um, because they need something. So I think that for me, I would probably wait till draft night and wait to see who starts to come off the board, and for the other GMs, they can start to see who comes off the board too. So that way you don't, jump the gun, because if you trade it too early, and then you come to draft night, you're like, damn, we could have went and got Matherin at 11, and now you traded
Right.
somebody where things like that. So
Right.
Right.
And to your point, San Antonio drafted Primo. I didn't think nobody thought he was going to go that high. And
Yep.
even when Oklahoma City drafted Giddy, a lot of us who was at
Right.
the draft party thought it was a reach.
Yep. It was a reach.
the, the,
It
the
was a reach
only
at
but
the
it, but
time.
it's
Yeah.
trade,
yeah, but it seems to have worked out, for them. So to your point, when an organization really believes in a guy, they're gonna go up and get him. They're not gonna
Mm-hmm.
play around with hoping he drops or whatever. Just go and get him.
Yep.
the only trade I think a partner I think we might have a good chance, and I've been hearing the rumor is probably Portland because they might want to trade out that 7th pick.
Mm.
Mm.
So probably if we could, talk to them and probably trade that 11th pick for them, probably wanted to come up and we go down and you probably give up an extra second round pick or I guess Dallas first. I don't know something probably just to
Right.
get to that seventh pick.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but as far as trading up with the other teams, I think it's going to cost us even more.
But let me ask you a
Right,
question.
right, right.
Uh huh.
Two questions. One, do you consider this a strong draft? And two, you're trading up into number 7. Is there really that much difference between a prospect you're going to get at 7 and a prospect you're going to get at 11? So are you giving up assets to move up to number 7 to get who? Like, who do you
If
feel like would be worthy of going up and giving up an additional asset? Because 11 is not by itself is not going to do it. We know it's going to have to be 11 and something else to move up to 7.
all right, with the information that I had today from Berman,
Mm-hmm.
right? Even though Ben is my guy, he is my guy,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm gonna have to go get Durant,
Oh,
Jalen Durant.
okay.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
going for him
Okay.
because he can hit the outside jumper, he can block shots. He has a nice little post up game, a little hook.
Mhm.
And he could rim run. He could play defense. I'm going with him. If I do come up to number 7, I'm going to grab him.
Okay.
You know,
But
and
let me be devil's advocate. So you're gonna get him at 7.
uh-huh.
You're giving up that 11th pick. Which other player on the Knicks are you giving up with that 11th pick to move up to 7?
So
Or
so no
yeah,
so Noel is gone.
But it
Noel
would
is
also,
definitely
but
gone.
it would have to
Okay.
make
is
sense for
that
the
going
other
to be
teams too,
enough? It
though.
has to right. It
Yeah.
has to make
No,
sense
I
for
know,
the other team.
I know that, but you tell me which player, so I'm telling
Right.
you which player I'm getting rid of. So Noel
Yeah.
is gone, right? Plus the number 11 pick is gone. I'm throwing Cam is gone.
Oh, now
If
we might be overpaying now. I
well,
think Cam and the 11th might do it. I don't know if you got to
I
throw
was about
in
to say that was
Noel.
going to be my
all right,
answer.
well,
Cam in the 11th, and that's it.
well,
Right.
I'll give you 11 and Noel, and if you start crying, I'll throw in a second round pick. How about that?
Because this is, I mean, Cam, you can argue for a prospect. We never know how these guys are going to pan out. You can argue that Cam in the 11th pick is a lot to move up to the 7th pick.
Yep.
Because that's like 2 first rounds, right?
Yep.
That's two first
Basically.
rounders
That's
for,
only moving up 4 spots.
and not even for a sure thing.
I
You
think
believe in him, but a lot of these guys are not sure things.
It's it's
It's
only
the
one person I actually think that they would do that for,
mhm.
and I think it's Daniels.
You think they would trade Cam for? I think that would be straight up. I don't think you need the 11th pick.
no, that's something else I would do that.
Mm-mm. I think Daniels, since he's moving up so much, you got to think about the draft is in a month. We're going to
Yeah.
need that in order to get him, and I think like his skill set is so different from everybody else's. We like you talked about like if between 7 and 11, when it comes to the talent, he's the only one with that type of skill set in that range, though. So if they really want a point guard, they will have to go for Daniels. Because if not,
True. I'm-
we're not getting a point guard. And unless it's the trade that you was talking about, but in the draft,
Right.
if Ivy is gone, he's going to be gone, right? So it's either Daniels or bust. Unless we,
And you're not trading down for Ty. Down,
no,
Mm,
not
no.
at 7. I'm talking about trading down. No.
11, like how far
mm,
would we have to trade down? And to me,
Well,
if we're
let
doing
me
that,
ask you, how far would we need to trade down where you would feel like,
yeah, I'm not trading for Ty. Like
I'm not. I
I,
don't
I'm
not
not
for
trading for
Tata.
him either.
I think it's
I'm
kind of
not
but
doing
when you
redundant
it
with
trade down, you pick up assets. It's not you're
right.
not losing assets. When you trade down, you're picking up assets.
So was is that next asset or that extra asset? Is that another draft for this year or next year,
Depends
or does it
on
matter?
it depends on how the Knicks, you know.
Right.
But it doesn't have
and
to
you
be
already
Ty. I mean, is there anybody you would so if you feel like we got enough wings,
Mm-hmm.
we don't need to draft a wing, we need
Mm-hmm.
a center, we need a point guard.
Mm-hmm.
We could trade up or we can trade down. We have the assets to trade up for sure.
Trading down. I mean, the point guards in the draft to trade down. It would have to be Rollins from Toledo, Chandler from Tennessee, maybe Sasser from where he played Texas Tech, I think. Marcus Sasser. Like point guard isn't deep. That's why I said if you're going to be in that 7 to 10 or 7 to 15 range, it's either going to be Ivy or Daniels. I don't think any point guard is going to be picked that high.
Yeah, I agree with you. I, it's me. I appreciate you for dropping by. I think this is a bit much, though. I think this is a bit much.
I was just reading it
Randall, Cam,
too.
and the 2023 first round pick for
You
Harrison
bugging it, man.
Barnes, who's
What?
average, who's an average player,
What?
and Ivy,
And Ivy.
who I like, but you got to be
No,
careful with
sir.
these draft
Yeah.
picks. They may or may not reach their ceiling, so you got to be careful. When you're giving up the farm for them, if it's not a LeBron James or Zion Williams or somebody that you're pretty sure.
If they did that, Ivy is getting the keys to the kingdom, dude. If that's the case. If they're going to give all that up for the fourth pick to get Ivy, they're basically giving him the ball.
But you know what, Jarrell? In my opinion, and I feel like Orlando's gonna pick him at number one. I really, really think
Really?
so. I just,
You
Wow.
think
I
Orlando's
just,
going
I
to pick
just,
Ivy
yeah,
with all the
I
guards
just
they
have,
That's
have?
like four
Wow.
guards in a row.
I just have a
Okay.
strange feeling, bro. I don't know. It's just me. Yo. I just have a strange feeling they might just pick him at number.
Yeah, I know Taron Armstrong. I just read that comment, but he's not. I'm just talking about value and what people are talking about in the first round. There's no way that we're picking him or would pick him at 11. But
So
I like him as a player, though.
so my this is what I've been trying to figure out from all the things that I've read is, let's just say we happen to get Dyson Daniels, right? Like what role are we putting him in? Is he running the point forward, or is he bringing the ball up, running the offense, facilitating the offense, like in his like I just don't see where we're
I
using
Well,
I
him.
think I think that's what he's going. I think that's what they're going to groom him to do.
And he's
Run the
way
point.
ahead of
He's
anybody
floor
else we
general.
have on this roster.
Yeah, he played. He played. You got to remember, he played in the G League. He played against former NBA players, right? And he's seasoned. So for him to be moving up in the draft and him showing out at the combine, there's got to be something. So I mean, even though I said Jalen Duren out, either one of them, Dyson or Jalen, out pick because we need both of them. We need one or two.
So you would pick
Not
either
we're
one of
not
those
keeping
over
Mitch.
Mathurin.
We're not keeping Mitch.
Mhm.
Mitch is leaving. He sounds like
See,
he's
I
going.
see. I feel like if we gonna get Daniels, kind of what Jarrell said. Like if you go get Ivy, like I feel like if we go get Dyson Daniels, you're basically saying that you're handing the keys over to Dyson, and where's IQ now? Like he's gonna be the backup.
hmm
That's his role be because if you looking to upgrade the point guard, that means that you don't see IQ as a point guard in the future.
right.
Just a modern day backup to your point guard to come and get that spark off of that team off of the bench. That's his role.
I
You know
I
what I'm
I
think.
don't
saying?
know if do we
Oh,
think
go ahead.
Dyson is I'm sorry, Jarrell, just real quick.
Hey, go ahead.
I don't know if Dyson is ready to start right off the bat though. I
Nah,
mean, but which
I
is
don't think so.
fine. Which is fine. I would still draft him maybe by the middle of the season, maybe the beginning of next season, he'll be ready. I don't know if he's ready like right out of,
Right.
you know,
I think
um
we have to remember who our coach is. Tibbs ain't going nowhere, man. I think we try to get away from his philosophy sometimes too much as fans just because we go against it. Dyson Daniels is not going to be bringing the ball up and facilitating our offenses his first year. No way.
So
This is
now,
Tibbs. Like he's not doing that.
Well,
now,
then, yeah. That's
well,
as I
who's
said
gonna do it?
before.
It can't be Randall. Like that has to be
It's
over.
going
No,
to be Randall
King,
again.
as I
No.
said before, it
All
don't
right.
make no sense to trade up. Then might as well just trade
It's going
out
to be
the pick
Randall again.
and
That's
No.
it.
get veteran point guard.
This is what I think.
That's the way I see it. You know.
It's
Randall,
And I
get
like
you
Randall.
frustrated, right?
I like Randall.
It's just the
But his
frustration of
role,
what
if
it
he's
is,
on
though.
this team, has to change significantly.
I hope, yeah.
And I really want to believe that the reason he's still handling the ball is because the front office and Tibbs misjudged him coming off of that season and felt like he can be a primary ball handler,
Mm.
primary facilitator. I'm hoping after seeing him this season, they
Right, right.
understand that he can still be on this team. He can still be a big part of his team. He can help us, whatever. But that facilitating the offense has to be over. It has to be over. Now, whether it's Dyson, whether it's whoever we're bringing in, it
Mm-hmm.
cannot be Randall. It just can't.
I hope. I
I
mean,
mean,
you preaching to the
it's
choir.
going
I
to have
wish
some
that is, but
occasions Queen, that
Excuse me.
he does bring up the ball. It's going to have some occasions he does bring up, but not.
But
But I
you
see
know
what
what?
you're saying. Not all the time,
Right. Bringing
right?
the ball
I
up
get
and
it.
well, yeah,
facilitating the offense to me is two different
yeah, it's two
things.
different
You
things.
see
Right.
people all the
Okay.
time bring the ball up, hand it to the point guard,
Pass
bring
it
the
to the
ball
point
up.
guard.
That's
Gotcha.
very different than running the offense.
Mm-hmm.
Randall
Right.
wants to get the rebound and bring the ball up. I don't have a problem with that.
Mm-hmm.
But I just don't think he should be the major facilitator making the decisions.
I agree with you. I agree with you. I
And I
agree
think
with
he'll be
you.
better for it.
I'll just say this: as much as I would love that to happen, I don't think Tibbs is going to do that. And if he's going to do that, it won't be at the expense of Daniels, though. You know what I'm saying? He won't give it to Daniels. Burks will play point guard before Daniels does.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like it won't. Like even if they do change something, it just wouldn't be whoever we bring in this year. Tibbs isn't
Listen,
going to look at him like that. He's a rookie.
okay. Oh, I thought you were saying even if they bring in a
Like
trade for
Ivy
a
or something.
point guard,
Oh
they're
no,
gonna
no, 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 no. I meant rookie,
still.
rookie, rookie, rookie. Yeah, you're right.
But I'm okay with that. As long
Yeah.
as the point guard is getting some minutes at that spot and they're growing into the position, I'm okay with that. Yeah, I'm definitely okay. Somebody said Dyson is Nilakina. Let me tell you
Nilakina.
something. You
Dyson
can
who?
look at you can
No
look
way. He
at
doesn't play like him at all.
right. You can look at any of these players in the draft and say this is their ceiling comp,
Mm-hmm.
and if they bust, this is who
Mm-hmm.
they
See,
remind. You can look at anybody in the draft like that.
like I
Mm-hmm.
was actually just thinking, like to me, I feel like Dyson Daniels' ceiling, honestly, too, based on his size and his height, is almost like a Ben Simmons, somebody who's on the bigger side and has decent enough ball handling skills. But I said, watching his highlights, like he's averaging like 5.5 assists a game, and like I said, he's got a very high IQ for when players are cutting and passing lanes. So like, I would see him almost stepping into like a Ben Simmons role. He's decent enough of a defender and an interior defender. So I could almost see him in like that Ben Simmons role. Now here's the only difference is um like Daniels, he'll at least take the three. Like he'll at least shoot it. And he's decent enough off the catch and shoot, but I think that one part of his game that's a little bit underrated is he does have very good touch around the rim.
Right.
In finishing inside that like 4 to 6 feet. So that's who I think that his comp would almost be if he reaches that ceiling would be.
Right. Right. And also he's a better foul shooter than Ben
Yes.
Simmons. He doesn't go to the line a lot
He's a better shooter, period, if he shoots the ball. But yeah, I would definitely rather have him shoot it than Ben Simmons. Like
yeah. I mean,
Ben is a lot bigger though too. Like
6'10".
Ben is a legit 6'10". Dyson Daniels is 6'5".
Well, at
But
the
they do
combine he
play.
was 6. At the combine they had him 6'7",
Yeah,
six
Oh
six
seven
seven,
no,
six
point.
eight. Yeah.
no, I didn't get those. That's the measurements that I got. I think he was 6'5" and a quarter.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Hold
Because
on, I could double
Sherwin
check that.
Sherwin was on me today, and so I had to go look up the combine,
Hold
and
on.
then I had to go change the description on the video I did, because he's
Yeah,
because
Sherman. Yeah, Sherman
I
was.
had who was it, Mathurin and AJ Griffin, I think six
You're
seven.
right. He's 6'7.5". You're absolutely right.
Yeah,
With a
so
six
he
with a
Right.
six
he
ten and a
put
half
he
wingspan.
put it right down
Right.
in there. They
Right.
six no they 6'6", so I had to go check it.
Okay, show and don't play, boy.
Yeah,
Show.
Sherman don't play. He always
Yeah,
give him 2 inches under
yeah,
what they
yeah, yeah.
supposed to be.
Sherwin, he gonna take an inch or two off of me if he gonna be in Atlantic City. He gonna say that she ain't 6 feet. Steph is about 5'10". I stood
Word.
right next to him.
Oh,
Sherman
God.
crazy.
I
But yeah,
mean,
that's a good comp though.
yeah. For me,
But I
I think.
still
Go ahead.
go ahead, Queen. No, go ahead, go ahead.
Now I was gonna say something different, off a little
Now,
off topic.
I still really feel like if we don't get the player that we want, I just have a strong feeling that we might trade out that pick at draft night to probably get a veteran point guard. So I just have a feeling, 'cause that's what we need. Because if Dyson gone and Ivy gone, which we're not gonna get, and Matherin's gone, Jalen's gone, you know,
But you
yeah,
know what?
I think we might just trade out the pick to get a veteran point guard that night.
There is, if Sohan or Doran, is it Doran or Duran?
Duran.
During
Doran.
during
If Sohan or Doran goes in the top 10,
Hmm.
one of those four guys is dropping to us. I was just looking at it.
So what
In
four
that
guys?
top 10, um, the wings we were talking about, Matherin, Griffin, Dyson, who's point guard, shooting
And
guard,
Davis. Okay.
and Davis. With the top six, we already know the four. Then you add Keegan Murray, and then you add Shannon Sharp. That's six, and then the four wings we was talking about. That's 10. But if Doran, Mark Williams, Sohan, any of those go in the top 10, one of those guys are gonna fall. So we only need one guy, one big to make their way into the top 10, and one of those guys will fall to us at 11.
See, but
See,
that's the thing though. That's if we're assuming that we wanted the wing that we're
Oh,
talking
that's a
about.
whole. You're right. Because remember last year, I wanted Jalen Johnson out of
Right.
Duke, and he fell
He fell.
to it, and we didn't take him.
And right,
We
right, right.
traded out of the spot, and Atlanta wound up taking him at 20.
Yep. And he ended up doing. These GMs and coaches and stuff. They be on their job, man. Like I liked him too. He ended up doing nothing and being pretty much in the
Right,
G League all year.
right.
see, and I think Jarrell, you make a good point too, where I think context is everything. Because I think something that we kind of forget sometimes too is we still have Tibbs,
Mm-hmm.
who still wants to win now. So, like you said, drafting a rookie point guard, the chances of him playing are
Zero.
probably slim to none. Like
I
you
Yeah.
said,
think he'll
he.
play, but I mean,
Oh yeah.
starting at the point guard position,
No way.
I don't think
But
so.
even playing, I don't think it'll be any meaningful minutes. Like I think it would be literally garbage time minutes. Because, like Jarrell said, I mean, let's just say we keep him. We've got D Rose coming back. You've got IQ, and then I mean, if push comes to shove, Alec Burks is his safety net.
They're gonna
Right.
So I
have
mean,
to
you
make.
have.
They got to make some changes.
So I mean, but I'm saying with the if let's just say hypothetically we brought the roster back as it is now,
Right.
and so that's why I could almost see, like I said, if we don't, like I said, that's why I would go in. You have your 2 to 4 players that you absolutely would take, and like I said, but with Tibbs being a win now coach, I think that's kind of where you trade out and go get him a seasoned veteran who's
point guard.
somewhere
Yeah.
in their prime
Right.
that is a Tibbs type player.
I
You
think
know,
whoever we pick, if it's a guard or a wing, they're spending most of their time in the G League next year.
or they should. They should spend their time in the
Well,
G
yeah, I'm
League.
not even
Right.
saying that that's a bad thing, but I don't think people should, you know, people shouldn't get their hopes up on our rookie
Right.
logging a lot of minutes next year, regardless of who it is, unless it is a center and Mitch leaves.
But this is the thing: if you're bringing this same team back, a rookie is not going to be good enough anyway.
True.
Like we're blaming it on Tibbs. Oh, Tibbs is not going to play this guy. If you bring this same team back with Fournier, with
Hmm.
Burks, with Randall, with RJ, these guys, who is the rookie beating out? Who in
Right.
this draft is going to beat out any? That's not even Tibbs. That's
I
just
agree with that.
basketball.
I agree
They
with that.
they just wouldn't be good enough. Now, if you want them to play, then you got to start moving some players out so there would be less of a glut. But I don't see a point guard at any player at 11
Hmm.
that can start on this team.
Right.
You think one?
I
You think
mean,
the
I mean,
centers
if
would?
we don't say
Hmm?
that again,
Do you think that could you see one of the centers, like if we got a Mark Williams or
I
Jalen
was just
Duren
I was
starting?
just
It will
about to
have to be
say
one of
that.
them.
I think if we do
But I
draft
think
a
that
center,
tells a
I think
lot
we're gonna
about
start.
Mitch. I think that tells more about they're replacing than
That's why the center was my pick because I
because
don't.
it's like,
Yeah.
It's
oh,
Mitch. Like
it's they
I'm
can
not that
play.
high on
Look
Mitch.
who
That's
they
why.
replacing, Mitch.
But I
Right.
You know,
mean, but just like Berman said earlier, he was like, if Mitch makes it to free agency, like he's walking,
He's
and
gone.
but here's my thing. Even if we were still to keep Mitch, I mean, at the end of the day, he's giving me zero offensive production without a point guard. So you still, and I get it. He's been the starter. He's been there for 4 years. But I mean, if I've got somebody who can spread the floor and who can shoot, who at the end of the day I can still groom even more, and they have some sort of offensive repertoire more than what Mitch does in his 4th year. You know,
but this is
I personally would rather have Doran or Williams more than Mitch,
Yeah.
especially at the price that he's going to cost.
but I will say it's going to take them a few years to get there.
Hmm.
I don't think they're going to come in
Right. I
because one of
believe
the
that.
things that we're discounting with Mitch, and I get it, Mitch has been frustrating. There's some games he looks all world, other games he doesn't. He's been in the league for 4 years. He understands the rotations. He understands
Hmm.
the game plans. He understands those sorts of things. So
Hmm.
a rookie may come in and get 8 points, 8 rebounds, and you'll look at them and say, "Oh, they just as
Hmm.
good as Mitch. He had 10 points, eight rebounds." But we're not looking at the other things that happens
Right.
in the game
I,
as well.
for me, that's why I don't think even if we did draft one of them, I don't expect them to start right away. I expect somebody like Nerlens Noel to start because
Well,
if he's going to be on the team still,
Mhm.
like they're not going to start over him. Tibbs is not going to start them over him. Not at
well,
first.
to your point, Jura, right? I was just about to say that too. If we do start um, Noel, don't you see Duran beating out Sims
Yes,
just
both
because
him
of his
and
skill
Williams
set?
will beat out Sims. Yes, yes, both of them. Both of them way more upside than Sims. Both of them are real first round picks. Like they would be in the first round even if it was last year.
Okay.
You're correct. Mitch has been giving us points, but we're I think, and Gavin can speak to this himself. I think Gavin is talking about being able to get his own shot. Like if you give him
Right.
the ball in a post, or if you give him the ball in a key, being able to turn around and shoot it or a hook shot. But he does give us points off of offensive rebounds. He's an elite offensive
yeah.
rebound and finisher. You can't take that away
Right.
from him.
Can I rebuttal to that? But
Yes.
how many centers in the league besides Jokic and Embiid posts up and gives you points?
Yeah. Not,
Everybody else is rim runners. I mean, what are we expecting from these centers that's coming out? You understand what I'm saying? You're
mhm.
not going to get the Embiids and the Jokic anymore. It's normally rim runners and little hooks and more offensive rebounds and all of that. So, I mean, to say you want somebody to space the floor like that, it's only one or two you might find. Let me not say that you got Polish from
Yeah, it's a few. It's a few.
Vucevic
Right. But you don't
from
have. But with
Chicago.
right.
Yeah,
But
to your
there's
point, it's not
levels to
many.
it.
Right. Right.
There's
Right. Right.
levels to it.
Right.
So right. Maybe we're not asking Mitch or our center to go out and hit a 3-point shot, but if you get an offensive rebound and it pops long and you right there in the mid range in the key, are you able to make
See,
that shot right there? You know what I mean?
yeah, and
Without having to pass it out.
that was my thing is, I mean, even like I don't even necessarily need somebody as a stretch five who's going to take the three. I just need some, like, if you can get like you like a Robin, like a Lopez or like a Mason Plumlee, like just somebody who, like you said, if you get an offensive rebound 5, 6 feet away from the basket, you're gonna catch it, give a power dribble with a drop step, or turn
Right.
around, give a baby sky hook, or if you flash to the mid to low post, you're gonna turn around and at least put up a jump shot. Not just somebody who is giving me points solely off of an offensive rebound, or like I said, even off like a pick and roll off throwing a lob. Just somebody who can create some other type of
Or
way, and
or
somebody
how
who's not shooting like 50% from the line
I was
at
about to
that
say that.
too.
I was about to say, or how about somebody in the fourth quarter that you don't have to take out the game because they don't shoot foul shots well.
But
Jarrell,
it,
here the funny thing, right? You know the funny thing is, I bet you if Mitch go to Detroit, I bet you gonna see his game expand even more. I bet you that Gavin, those same things that you talking about, I bet you he go ahead and he do it in some other team, and we
And
gonna
what?
see
So
what
so
kind of offense
why
he
is
has.
that?
I, I don't know,
But
bro,
so
because
I see.
you got
Hold
to
on.
understand too, right? Mitch is frustrated that he's not being involved in the offense, and he
Mm-hmm.
has tweeted about it, just running up and down the court for 48 minutes. He don't like that. So basically, I'm saying whoever offers him this money and offers him a pitch saying that, yo, I will get you more offensive touches and have you more offensively in the game.
See,
And and I think that's where we're going to see Mitch Floyd. Because if you notice, every player that we let go and they go to some other team, if they're not winning a championship, they playing better. And it
so
always
Staffer,
happen like that.
see,
Staffer.
my thing with here's the thing though with Mitch is in so far in Mitch's 4 years here, what minus the lobs and the putbacks, what has he shown you that if he goes to another team, he's going to somehow pull out this offensive package? Because like I said,
Uh, all right.
there's mid to long rebounds where Mitch will be 4 to 6 feet away from the basket, and he won't even put the ball on the floor and give you a drop step. He won't even look and turn and face to the basket. Like there's no jump hook. So that's what I said. Like that's why I don't see. Like I don't think that just because you go to Detroit now all of a sudden Mitch Robinson is going to start hitting you with jump hooks and little baby jump shots and
To
hitting free throws
to
because
me,
I don't think
I'm
that
sorry,
Tibbs
bro.
is saying, "Hey,
But,
Mitch, if
but
you get an
Gavin,
offensive rebound, you
sometimes
can't go up with the ball."
it could be the coach. You understand what I'm saying? And I'm
But
not saying it's not Tibbs
but you
or
but I'm saying
it's
but
not Mitch, but
but you think that if
it
he's
could
getting a
it could just.
rebound,
I'm sorry.
I say so you think that if he's getting a rebound, Tibbs is saying, "Mitch, don't look to put up a putback or don't look to
I
put up a
mean,
jump hook."
he has once he's close to the rim because he has done it before. You see, he beat Will Chamberlain field goal percentage just by layups all the time that particular year. So he does go to the rim, but for some reason, this past year, I don't know if it's because of the leg injury that he isn't going up or he was looking at the rim. But in my opinion and in my feeling, every time a Knicks play a lead is either to winning a championship or they playing some type of pivotal role on a next team and they showing out.
Well,
Look at
well,
But
Bobby
but
you
but
Portis.
but
you
Look
keep
at
that
Bobby
hope about Mitch,
Portis.
and I'll keep my hope about Cam.
okay. But this is.
Right.
But Staffer, I've heard this before. This is what I will say. I do think that role plays a difference.
Mm-hmm.
Bobby Portis got ample opportunity on the New York Knicks,
Look who he
but
playing
we was
against
asking too
with
much of
though.
him.
Right.
And that's what happens a lot of times. We look at guys, they have a little bit of talent. We want to expand their roles. No, sometimes you need more defined role, a lesser role, so that you can ball out. And I think that's what's happening in Milwaukee for Portis. He got Giannis, he got Drew, he got Middleton. His role is subscribed. He knows what he's supposed to do. So you can excel like that. Certain players can excel like that. Maybe we're asking Mitch to do too much. Mitch goes to Dallas with Luca, with Brunson if he's still there. I think he will be better because you're not asking him to be so much. You understand? And that's the problem with the Knicks. We need so much. We don't have those players yet. They're on their way, but they're not there yet. So
Right.
when they go to other places and they shine, we're like, oh my God, why couldn't they do it here? Because we didn't have the structure. We didn't have the players. You go to San Antonio, you can rock out. Your role is this small. I mean, not
Right.
San
So
Antonio, Golden State. Your role is this
Right. Right. Right.
small.
I mean, look at the bigs that they have now, like James Wiseman. They don't even use him.
no,
Right.
well, he's
Look at it. If
injured.
he was
He's
on our
injured.
team, we would think he's the man. Like we would think he's the next thing with Patrick Ewing. They got him stuck in the G League all year.
Mm.
Right.
Depends on what team you are. And I don't
Right.
think it's a guard in this league that will make Mitch shoot over 50% on the foul line.
Oh, let me
No,
tell
and
you,
that's the next thing into Gavin. I mean, not Gavin.
Stafford, you can't
Jarrell
even
is
say
that.
nothing about the free throw. Like that
Yeah,
to
you
But
said
I
nothing
me.
was
about
I
the
was
free
just
throws,
about
bro.
to say
It's
Forget
48%,
all
bro.
the other stuff. Forget all the other stuff. We can argue about that.
Like
Soon
you
as you say
48%.
49%, oh no.
Like as soon as you say that, it's like, okay, cool. I'm not saying Mitch is like some bum that I don't want on the team and I hate him and stuff. I'm
no, but
just saying he could be replaced. That's all.
no, but, and that's the thing about it, right? You want the offense. You want to be involved in the offense, but Mitch, you got to hit your free
Right.
throws, bro.
But
In
listen,
order for you to be one of those offense, and that's another knock on him. You know, what I mean, is his free throws. In order for you to feel like you want the offense to be a part of it, you got to make sure you got to be able to hit those free throws when it counts, and especially they need you in the fourth quarter. So I mean, you're vexed because you're not being involved in the offense more, and you want to leave. You're running up and down the court for 48 minutes, but bro, your free throws, and that's probably one of probably the main reasons why you see that he never probably went up to hit a jump hook, Gavin. He probably afraid to go to the free throw line.
Yep.
You never know. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
and then we got Sims, who I love, with the same
Yeah,
issue.
he's the same. That's
With
why I
the
said he
same
could be replaced too.
right. And this is the thing. 4 years of bad free throw shooting. Like at some point you gotta know, like at what point does a player become
Like
who they're gonna be?
like at this point, like he a graduate assistant. Like he didn't graduated college already. Like he's old, fam. Like he not one of the young ones no more. Like don't get me wrong, it's not like he's old, but
But I mean he's
Mitch
20,
been
he's
in the league.
22 though. But for
4
in
years in
terms
the
of
league
time in
though.
the league though,
Yeah,
yeah.
he been in the league long
Yeah.
enough for you to develop some of these skills already. At least
Right.
give
See,
me something.
see,
That's
and
all
I
I'm
think
saying.
that like, and I know Steph, this is something that like you say that you're against, and a lot of fans say, oh, play the young guys or play rookies as the training ground, right? Get them minutes, get them burned. Mitch came right out of high school. His training ground has been the NBA.
Right.
Mm,
So like, and like I said, for 4 years, there's been no change in offensive production. There's been no change in free throws. So that's why I said like going to a different place, like still gonna be shooting 48%. That ain't gonna change. It don't matter if you go to the Eastern Conference, Western Conference. That's on him to become a better free throw shooter. And then like I said, but like George's point, he's young, but you're a young player that's already had 4 years of NBA experience in the league. So like I said, your training ground has been starting minutes. And like I said, and I think there's still just a lot of inconsistency, and I think there's a difference. Like you take of a person like between Mitch and Cam, right? I think Cam has all this talent that you see is there, but it's his motor. Mitch, like you don't see a whole lot of talent there, or like where it's really going to improve a lot
and hold on,
Yeah,
this was a
on the
on the
offensive end.
offensive
right.
side.
Defensively, I've seen,
Mitch
let me tell you.
defensively is him. Like he's great defensively. My whole thing is offensively, he's a liability
And
But listen
without a
to this.
putback or a lob.
all right, good.
But Gavin, Rudy Gobert is
Let
getting what
Jarrell,
two
let
hundred
Jarrell,
odd
let
million
Jarrell get
dollars.
in.
I forgot what I
Let
was going to say.
Jarrell get in.
Trying to
It's
think what
okay.
I forgot what I was going to
It's
say.
halftime. It's close to halftime. We'll wait for you to come back. I know exactly what it is. Um, but this is what I'll say. I've seen games where Mitch dominated, and I was like, if we get in that, I don't even care about the offense. There's been games where I've seen how I was like, oh, you
Right, this is what I was
dominate
going to
like
say.
that, I don't even care about the offense. But those games are not there all the time. And I'm just gonna say this real quick, Joe. Hold on to that.
I got you.
So you know I'm gonna forget
I'm gonna forget
after.
too. That I got the same disease, Steph. I got the same disease.
Is what we're seeing in Mitch has been 4 years. There's two sides to the argument. One, he's been here for 4 years. There's been minimal improvement from year to year. Two, he came out of high school. He's been pretty raw. It's taken him a long time to get his footing. It's too early to give up on him. The flashes that we saw this year is him eventually coming into his own. He might need another year or two. So I could see both sides of the coin.
Yeah, I can see both
Jerome.
sides. I was just going to say that it's not personal with Mitch. I think anybody who's going on their second contract in the league, you need to see some type of bump in that first 4 years. That's the whole point of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you have
And
to, or they're not going to get the contract that they want.
Right.
Like he's like if he wasn't up for a contract, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Right. Because we comparing him to the money at this point.
Right. We're comparing him to money now. We're talking about getting a rookie who's going to be on a rookie scale for the next 4 years.
Right.
Compared to Mitch, who is going to be making, some people say he won like 50 some $1 million. So that's all it is. It's not nothing personal with Mitch. It's
Right.
anybody. RJ is going to come up too.
And it's gonna be the same. It's gonna be the same thing,
It's going to be the same conversation. He going to need to step up too when his contract is up.
which is now,
Yeah.
because he's eligible for that extension.
It's put up. We're going to have the same conversation on RJ next year. He might be replaced too, or can be replaced, I should say.
I
If he
hope you
don't
at
play
home and
right.
you ain't got to leave and take the train or nothing.
Yeah, I'm
Terrell.
good.
You
I'm
home?
good.
Okay.
I'm good around here. You know what I'm saying? I'm good around here. I hope nobody, snuff me on the way out if they did see this. But yeah, it's like it just is what it is, man. Like these, it's a reason why everybody know that we don't sign our own players. For the most part, it's not their fault all the time because our coaching staff, front office have been sorry, ownership. But it's a reason why we
And
haven't
sometimes
signed
the
that second
players aren't
contract.
that good
And
though.
sometimes it's the players because our organization were bad and we picked bad players.
right.
So it's nothing personal. Everybody has to go through this. OB's coming,
Yeah.
IQ is coming. Remember I said all these young dudes are going to be up at contract wise around the same time. We got to have conversations about all these dudes.
Yeah. No doubt.
Hmm.
Josh, Uncle Fulio said something in one of the panel shows on Nothing But Knicks. He said in the next year or two, don't worry, they'll begin to separate themselves, our
Yep.
young players, and you'll begin to see who you're going to pay and who you're not going to pay. Right now, there's not a lot of separation. It's just like, oh, we got all of these young guys. We can't pay them all. So
Right.
at some point, they're going to begin to separate themselves, and you'll begin to see who you can pay and who you can't, or who you should pay and who you shouldn't pay.
I wanted to answer this question. Salute to D Public Enemy in the chat. He said RJ earned his bag already. I didn't say he didn't earn the bag, but what type of bag you talking? We talking Louis? We talking Walmart, Target
Indeed.
bag? Like what type of bag we
He
talking?
said, target back.
Like what? Like if we talking like you know what I mean? A Birkin? RJ not Birkin bag? You know what I'm saying?
Marcus.
Nah, not yet. Nah, he got to prove more than that. Like we're not giving him no max just for the stuff that he's done already. No way.
Oh my God! Right.
They said
The fan is
Walmart
on. It's
bag.
about to get hot. But,
Hey man, it is what it is, man.
but this
I'm
is
just
a
saying.
this
Not
is a
saying that he's not getting the bag, but it's different levels to the bag. I'm saying if you're trying to pay him $36 million a year, it's a different type of bag, man. Like we got to have a different type of conversation.
Oh
right.
boy, yo,
Yeah.
boy, Drew, you
C
a
Max
fool,
that
man.
paper bag. I don't think it's that
Pa-
bad. I don't, I don't think
see how
I
he
don't
say
think
all
it's
that. See, I ain't trying to kill RJ. No, it's not
I
paper.
don't
Know what I'm saying?
nah, I don't think it's paper bag. But I know it's not. But but this is a perfect segue. And if I'll put the let me see if I can find the link and put it in the chat. So on Nothing But Nick's channel, Marc Berman was on. He's a writer for the New York Post. I was on the panel as well, and he said some interesting things. And I want to bring up two or three of them here to see what you think about. And I guess we'll start with the RJ statement since we're talking about RJ. And in his opinion, he believes that RJ is a very good player, that he'll be, he could be an all-star, but he doesn't believe that he's a superstar type player.
Hmm.
And that also, if the Knicks were to go after Donovan Mitchell, and he had his poise about Donovan Mitchell, given how he played this season and how he played in the playoffs, but he still said there's no way that trade happens, in his opinion, without putting RJ Barrett. Like Utah is just not going to
I believe him.
that. And then the other thing he said was that Leon Rose didn't draft RJ.
Right. Scott Perry did, right?
Scott Perry.
Right.
Scott Perry did. Um
He didn't
any
draft
if
Mitch either.
He didn't draft Mitch either. He didn't. Yeah,
Just
he didn't.
just a little mental note. That's all.
He didn't. And he drafted Obi.
Yes, he did.
So when a lot of times we'll say, "Oh, I would put Obi in this trade with that." They drafted Obi. I think it's going
Yep.
to be hard to put him in any trade if they wanted to. If it came up, I would say. But your thoughts on, yeah, your thoughts on that that statement. I know people in Twitter was giving us me and Josh some flack because they said we just stood there and and he also said he's not a very good defender.
Yeah,
And
but
and they were saying why are we just standing there and not defending
I
our
mean, you wanted defending him because you know what I mean. It's true. We just don't
It
want to
is
admit
what it
it.
is.
It is what it is.
When you're trying to fight facts when it's really facts, I mean,
Right.
he's not a great defender. He's a good defender, but he's not great at it, right?
You seen what happened when we talked about free throws with Mitch? Stafford couldn't even say nothing.
that was the end of the
That
conversation.
was the end of the conversation. Because he said all that good stuff about Mitch, but when you give the fact that his free throws is like that, then what else is there to say? But same with RJ, a lot of people don't really. I don't say like they don't look at him as a superstar, but a lot of us don't. It just is what it is, and he might become
He
that,
could
and
be
I
a
hope he
borderline.
does. But it just is what it is. Everybody does not think he's going to the Hall of Fame at this point of his career.
State does.
Oh, yeah, he did
A
say
lot of
state.
people do.
I didn't even
A
say that
lot of
because of
people
state, but
do.
salute the state. But yeah,
Salute the
yeah, that's
state,
crazy.
A
BJJ.
lot of people
Everybody
do.
don't think like state.
But I think he could be a borderline star, not a superstar.
Right.
You know, as to Marc Berman point, he's really not athletic for real, for real. Um, he's starting to go to his right a little more. And Brought up a lot of point too, where he said he's been getting his shots blocked a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So um, RJ has a lot of things to work on, man.
Yep.
Hopefully him playing in the Canadian professional team this summer
Mm-hmm.
gives him some reps and some some practice and some type of go to move for him to come back to the Knicks, and really break out to see what he have because as Jarrell said, we're going to be talking about him next year when his extension comes up. He's going to have to prove himself. So, and as far as that Donovan trade, and I heard Mark say that how Donovan wants to be in New York. So, I mean, I don't know how really true that is. He did say that how his 3-point um percentage went down this year. His basically is just his overall game just came down a notch in the playoffs. So I don't know if that's a question mark to some people, but if I have to put RJ in a trade for Donovan, so long RJ, it's nice knowing you. I hope you do well in Utah. You know, but it is what it is. It's a business. And if they could pull that off, it is what it is. That's my stance on that.
Keep in mind that he's up for the extension this summer. This summer he's up for the extension. If he doesn't
Right.
sign the extension by October, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, including the chat, I believe he becomes a restricted free agent at the end of the season.
That's next season. That's next year, right? Next year, October, you're talking about, right?
This
You mean
coming
into 20?
October.
You mean, oh, okay. Okay.
This we can't hear you, Gerald. You muted.
I was about to say he's. I think she's saying that this October he has to sign it. If he does not sign it, he'll be a restricted free agent next year.
Next summer.
Okay.
Next summer he'll be a restricted free agent. Listen,
Right.
I hope they sign him. Um, I don't think he's a 36 million a year. I think I just think that's a bit much for where he is right now in his development. And I think that's what happens when you develop a little slower out the gate and you don't pop as fast.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it costs you. You know, I'm not sure what else they can do about it. I'm sure if the
Yep.
Knicks had another year, and they do actually,
Mm-hmm.
because if they decide not to extend him, watch him play this year, see where he is this year, he becomes a restricted free agent. They can match.
Yep.
They can match. Whatever he gets.
It happens
Um,
all the time, and people act like we're just supposed to throw him the max. It
Yo,
happens all
you
the
see
time.
people talking about RJ is going to be a Hall of Famer,
Yeah.
bro.
See.
I mean, well, you never know. Listen,
Yeah, you
nobody
never
thought
know.
Ben Wallace was going to be a Hall of
Yeah, that's true.
Famer when he crawled into the
But it's
league. You
just
know.
to this early, just to emphatically say it, like, yeah, he's going to be a Hall of Famer. Like, I would rather just say I don't know.
Yeah, just say that. You know, certain players you could see when they come in the league, you know, you got it.
Because stuff like that, it depends on the player. Like, you can't just speak that into existence. Like, he has to perform. Now, if you think he's going to perform, cool. But I'm just not, I'm not giving him the jacket already. Nah. You got to win a
So,
playoff series first. Please do something.
I mean, the whole Nick team.
You hold all of them. It's not just RJ. None of them have accolades already,
Mm-mm.
except for Randall. He got one All Star appearance,
Right,
and we know how that went.
right,
Other than that,
right.
that's it.
So this was the other thing Berman said. He said that the Knicks are not shopping Randall. They were disappointed in his leadership, but they're not shopping him. Obviously, if a good deal comes across the table, they'll do it, but they're not shopping him. Are you disappointed or happy in the fact that the Knicks are not shopping Julius Randle?
Go
Stafford, you
ahead,
go
Joe.
first. Now, I'm about to say
No,
you
no,
go
you go
first.
first.
Well, I'm obviously disappointed, but I'm not shocked at all, though. Like, I'm disappointed, but not to the point that I'm upset or mad or shocked or anything. I knew that was going to happen. I didn't think they were going to trade him, especially when they showed up with him and Worldwide West in
Wes,
Dallas.
Dallas.
Yeah, it was a wrap after that. I was like, they're not getting rid of him. They wouldn't do that. If they did that, that's crazy. Like, you got to think about that. Like, if they did that and then traded the player that they did that with, it wouldn't even look good for an organization to do that.
Jarrell, let me say this to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
When Randall gets paid this year, he's going to be paid the 51st or the 52nd best player in the league.
Right.
That contract that Randall has,
I do agree
we're
with
not
that.
talking about back in the day when you gave somebody 26 million, it was something. That contract
Right.
that he has right now is not really,
Right.
money. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So, but the only thing is probably a detriment to the Knicks is probably the years that he has on the
Yeah, he got
contract.
three more, right? I
I think
think
it's four. I think it's
four
four.
more.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
it's
it's four.
just
Okay.
starting. It's
Because
just
it starts
starting.
Right. It's
this
just
year.
started. Right.
It
Starts this year.
just started.
You're right.
So that way may be one of the reasons why it don't make any sense to really to go shopping around. Yes, I am disappointed in Julius Randle's game that he performed this year,
Mm-hmm.
right? But you see, next year coming up, and I believe they said if he doesn't perform, they may have to do something about it. And I think I did hear him say that some people in the Knicks brass were worried about Randall not being a leader this year, not being here with his teammates. So
Right.
he has a lot of improving to do
Mm-hmm.
this season. So I believe if they don't see any improvement, any type of how I would say what's the word I'm looking for? Unity, right? In with
Chemistry,
his
unity. Yeah.
Camaraderie.
chemistry
All
with
that.
his
Yeah.
teammates,
Hmm.
I think they may look to get rid of his contract and probably try to trade him.
That makes
But
sense.
his value is at an all-time low now. So it,
Yeah,
it
well, right
may
now.
be better to try to recoup his value and then trade him.
So that's what I'm saying. So if he does show out this year, and it just be, and it's something that I heard Fred Katz say that if it gets to where it's so unbearable that they can't handle Julius Randle, they might try to get rid of him. But it's nothing detrimental to where it's like, oh my God, I have to get rid of him right now. So he improves where he needs to improve this year, goes on going on forward and build his value up. He probably going to stay. But if it's like a mediocre thing, they might just have to probably trade low and sell low for him, please.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Gavin?
I think that one of the biggest things with the Berman thing that kind of brought me a little bit of peace of mind was the fact that he alluded to the fact that there's people in the front office who obviously saw what we saw with Randall,
Right.
and it was a
Good
red
point.
flag to them.
Right.
Like, so at least they're not like, I think that was the biggest thing that I took away, that there's people in the front office who were like, red flag, red flag, red flag.
Right.
Um, I think part of it with them though is, like I said, and like we talked about last night, kind of with a Cam thing. Um, he's a 20 and 10 player, and he was an all-star last year. So when, although last year was the outlier, and although I think that he's peaked, like I don't think that Julius Randle gets any better than what he was last year. I think that we kind of know who he is. I think at the same time that the floor that he has is still just kind of hard to give up. And I think that shopping a player and just outright letting teams know that you're trading them, I think sometimes reduces their trade value to other people. But I would hope that the Knicks, if they got a decent enough offer, wouldn't just be like, nah, we're keeping Randall. But I think, like I said, I think the best thing and one of the most positive things was the fact that they recognize everything that we saw as fans. I think it's just frustrating for us fans because, like Berman alluded to, the fact that Dolan just has like this no talking policy, and
Mm,
so you don't know what they're thinking. But the
right.
fact that now we at least know that, look, we saw all the red flags. We know that he didn't look like a great leader this year. He came in great shape last year, didn't come into good shape this year. All the antics and everything. So we're well aware of what's going on as well. But like I said, but if he gets to next year and he gives you the same production, I mean, his numbers were basically the same this year, minus the efficiency. So I mean, if he gives you the status quo Julius Randle with a calmer head, more calm emotions, I think either A, you can still use him to keep building forward and building with and around, or like you guys just said, maybe they get to the point where like because his contract is not something that's just unbearable for other teams. Maybe you give him a year, let him get back to the Julius Randle he was a year ago. Like I said, even with the same numbers this year, just let him get back to the same level of production, but show a more calm head, show some maturity, some more leadership skills, which will inherently boost his draft stock for other teams. And now for other teams and other GMs, they'll just look at it and say, last year was a one-off year for him mentally. Now we're not as worried about the things that we saw from him last year.
And that's my hope that mentally it was a one off. I know Stafford is disappointed in his game, not so much in the emotional part. If I heard him, if I'm hearing him correctly,
Yeah, not so much because I think everybody has emotions sometimes, you know what I mean? So, and they go through it. So,
right,
as you said, I think it's just a one-off thing for the year,
right,
and I think you go through things in life as a teaching moment. So I believe he learned from it. I'm hoping he learned from it, and I'm hoping he could move forward and approach it deal
right.
with it in a better way. As Gavin said, a cooler head, a better mental.
Yeah. Right. That's what I'm looking for. Well, two things I'm looking for, but one of them is on the team, and that is to construct the roster in such a way that you put in Randall in the spots in which he shines, and you are, the places in which he doesn't play well, you're minimizing that.
Right.
And you have to construct the roster that way. One, you have to get a point guard, and you have to get. I mean, we always say we need a strong-minded point guard that's going to tell Randall, "Yo, go up the court. I got this." But the coaching staff can do that. Like, I
Right.
don't think the point guard should have to be this grizzly veteran to be able to stand up to Randall. Like, the coaching staff should be able to say, "Okay, this is how things are going to be this year.
Right.
All you need to do is get to your spot and we'll get you the ball in the spots in which you like it. And when you get the ball, you go to work, you do what you do what you do. But so and so is going to be facilitating the offense. I think that if and the chat has said this a lot. If you don't do that with to Randall, he becomes too big a part of the offense, and it's just not enough room for other people.
Right.
That's why you got to take the ball out of his hand, put it in somebody else's hand so that person can decide. It's your time now. It's your time now. You missed 3, 4 in a row. We're not getting good shots with you. We're not coming back to you for the 5th, 6th, and 7th time. We're just not
Mm-hmm.
going to do it. That's what we need. And if the point guard can't say it, the coaching staff needs to be able to say it. So that's the first thing. Construct the roster in such a way that kind of shrinks his responsibility, put it that way. And the second thing is on Randall. You got to come back. Number one, you got to be a leader and you got to be a two-way player. Randall could be a two-way player. He has the tools to be a good defender. He has decent defensive IQ. Him not closing out is not because he doesn't know and he
It's a
got
choice.
lost and he don't know where he's supposed to be. It's nothing like that.
It's a
He's
choice.
either tired and not in shape, or like you said, he's just decided he's not gonna go out there.
Didn't Berman say that he didn't come in the best shape?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that
Yeah,
was part of it as
he
well.
did.
I really think that was part of it.
See,
And Queen, you know what I think too, yo, will be good for Randall,
Mhm.
and I think he should go train this summer with and get some pages out of my guy out of Warriors, the power forward. What's his name? Draymond.
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 If he could just work out with him for a summer and
See.
get some of his IQ and his ball sense and know how to move with the ball as a point forward, I think it will help him, man, a lot, a lot, a lot.
But
You
this
know,
is the thing.
because I think both of them is kind of similar players, but it's
Mhm.
just Reynolds more of a bully on the offensive. But as far as bringing up the ball and making decisions, I think him just getting a full year with him, I think it will bring some type of difference to his game also too, as far as decision making.
I mean, the other thing though is Draymond is content facilitating and
Right.
letting everybody else
Right.
get
Right.
off.
Right.
And if he has 8 points and 8 rebounds and 4, 5, 6 assists, he's good.
Yep. As long as they
Randall,
win the game.
Randall, that ain't Randall. Randall
No, but
has to
that's what I'm
be
saying.
up front.
If he could have that mindset, what Draymond have, and just Draymond sit down and talk to him in that type of way, like a mentor. You
Mhm.
understand what I'm saying? You don't necessarily have to have 20 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists for you to be an impact in the game.
Right, right,
There's other ways. You
right,
understand? Just have that talk with him. You know what I'm saying? Watch film together. See, where he made his mistakes, why he bringing up the ball, the bad decisions. Just little stuff like that could tweak his game, and he could be probably a more better, efficient player. That's all.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I think at this point, just got to cut it out. I think in terms of improving his facilitation, I think we just got to cut it out. We just have to know that's just not your thing. And you see the pass, like he knows where he's supposed to pass, but there is no touch on those passes.
You be hitting every Fournier in the
I'm
forehead.
surprised everybody's fingers is not taped up,
Right.
from those passes. He has no touch on those passes.
I hate it. I hate when he do.
He's
Like,
a
I
rough
hate
dude.
him with
That's
the
what I'm
ball,
saying.
yo.
God.
Draymond will give him a little finesse.
And this is why I don't understand why he's such a bully and plays frantic and throwing hard passes and all this kind of stuff, but can't handle the fans. Like,
Right.
I forgot who I was listening to today, and
bullies
it
don't
was
like to
like,
be bullied.
bullies don't like to be bullied. You might be right. Um, I heard somebody, I forgot what podcast I was listening to, video cast I was listening to today, and they was like, well, you know, he has to work on his emotionality and he has to work on his relationship with the fan. No, he doesn't. You need to play basketball. You should be ignoring the fans. Like, stop trying to get back into
Word.
the good graces of the you have no control over that, and the fans go back and forth anyway. That's, to me, that's a losing battle. play your game and try as much as you can to block the fans out. And that's the problem with Randall. He can't. That's the I'm not saying he can't, but this season, for the first time, I saw him like really look like he can't handle.
Right. He unraveled at one point.
Yeah, like he like
So
oh y'all think I shoot too much? Oh, so I'm not gonna even shoot. Like why
Right.
you even what the fans is thinking and writing on Twitter? Why is that even part of your thought process?
And he's doing that while we're losing.
Right.
right.
Yo, some people are just look, but look at Kevin Durant. He answers to everybody on social media. Say
But he's
anything
Kevin
wrong with
Durant.
Kevin Durant.
But he's Kevin Durant. He can do that. He's
No, it's not even that. It's not even that. Randall can do that
That's what,
too. If you
that's what
wanna,
I'm saying.
but Durant is not rattled by the fans
Right.
this.
He's
In
still
this
out
No,
game.
there.
He
he
not getting
goes
a.
at the fans, Steph. He
Oh, I
goes at the
agree.
fans
But what I'm
too.
trying to say, it doesn't affect him
It
like
doesn't
it's
affect his
affecting
play.
Randall. The
I see
pushback is
what you're saying. I
affecting
see what you're
Randall.
saying.
Yeah,
I
the
see what you're saying.
pushback is impacting him.
and Staff,
I see
something
what
that
you
you said, earlier. I think that this whole experience last year was actually one of the best things that could have happened to Julius. I think that after his All-Star year and his second team All NBA, I think one of the biggest red flags is when a player comes in out of shape to camp, and that shows that you got comfortable and complacent. So I think what happened with Randall was once he had that All-Star year, I think that his head got even bigger, and I think that he thought that he was a little bit better than what he was, and I think that that led to him probably getting a little bit complacent and comfortable over the summer, not thinking that he had to put in as much work because he probably thought that he was just going to be able to come in and resume and pick up right where he left off last season. Um, and I think that his fall kind of hopefully it humbled him and showed him like, yo, kind of really who I am and really just learned to play your game. And I think that was the thing that because he was an all-star and because we got that dreaded almighty fourth seed, like I think that he put a lot of pressure on himself to feel like I got to take it to the next level. Like they want me to be that guy, even if I don't want to be, I still have to go out there and prove it. And I just think that he was never in his mind and probably the fans' eyes too, obviously, was never able to reach those level of expectations. And I think that's where you started to see like Steph said, where he's like, oh, well, y'all think I shoot too much. I'm just not going to shoot it all now. Like, I'm not going to look for the ball at all in the fourth quarter, And so I would hope that, like you said, I would hope that he learns from this and this kind of brings him back down to reality and just, go out there and play your game. And like Steph said, there's no reason for you, like, we're fans. There's a reason that we're paying to watch you play the game. And I think that if he just focuses on himself, on himself, and goes back to putting in whatever type of work that he put in to earn that extension and get that second team accolade, I think that he kind of needs to hit the reset button and go back to there. And one of the biggest things that I would like to see Randall, and he just doesn't strike me as this type of person, is being open to being more coachable and asking for a lot of help. I know in one of his post game press conferences, somebody asked him, how have you reached out to former Knicks players and people who have played in New York to, how to handle the media and the pressure? He was like, no, I just lean on my family. And your family has
How's
never
that
played in
working
New
out
York.
for you?
Right. How's that
Right.
working out? Your family.
I mean, you can lean on your family too because you do need that
Yeah.
emotional support, but
Your family don't got nothing to do with the Knicks. Like they don't know
nor
what it's
nor
like
have
to
they
play for the
played
Knicks.
professional. Yeah, and they're gonna tell you what you want to hear most of the times, or they're not gonna give it to you and keep it a stack with you and let you know what you need to hear. And so I think, like you said, whether if it's Draymond, I think personally the person he needs to reach out to is Melo and work with him and ask him if he doesn't want to work on his game. Cool, that's on him. But at least mentally, find somebody that you can go to and confide and say, look, yo, here's my struggles in New York. How are you able to play here with all this scrutiny and still go out there and just be able to hoop? And so I think that's what I would just like to see is just be open to finding somebody who you can lean on. And especially with like Kenny Payne being gone now. And so really who your guy who was on the coaching staff is no longer there. I think that it's even more imperative now, especially with the target coming with the target being on his back coming into this year, I think that's even more important for him.
Yeah.
But
I,
the whole thing, I don't mean to cut you off, Jarrell, but the whole
no,
thing with the whole family thing, to me, I feel like when they say lean on when he said lean on his family, I feel like when I come home to my family, I don't want it to be about basketball. I don't want to hear nothing about basketball. I
right,
just want
right,
to come home to my family and it's my sons, and I'm saying, and my wife, and it's nothing to do with that. You know what I'm saying? It's just all love because all of the scrutiny I'm already getting. That's how, in my opinion, I feel when he talk about he leans on his family. Not now what you said, Gavin, as far as the whole mental thing, talking to Melo, I agree with that.
mm-hmm.
I do think he should go out and reach out to somebody like that who has been in this type of setting. Even you got my guy on the sideline, Walt Frazier. Go talk to him. He been through it. You know what I mean? Go, get those mental notes. So, I think it's a difference
Patrick Ewing,
when you
they
said
ripped up his
family.
poster, threw it on the threw it
Right,
on the
right.
Say that
court.
again.
I said Patrick Ewing, they ripped up the poster, remember, and threw it on the court.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow, I
You
didn't
don't
even know
remember that?
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they used to
Yeah,
kill
Yeah.
Pat back
They
in the
used to
day.
kill Patrick. Yep. Yep.
yeah, man. So yeah,
Okay.
even talk to Pat too. But go ahead, Gerald. I didn't mean to cut you.
I was just gonna say I don't really like the mentality of that period because you got to think about it. He signed his contract, came out of shape to training camp, and we just got bounced in the first round of the playoffs.
Well,
Yep,
that's a
That
good
is not
point. That's a
normal.
good point.
Like the type of
it's a
player
red
Randall
flag.
is and the type of intensity he seemed like he plays with, seemed like he would have been chomping at the bit for the season to start.
Right.
So for him to come out of shape, like we didn't know that until Berman said it earlier. Like for him to come out of shape, that doesn't really make sense. Like
Yeah,
I don't know if he was out of shape, but he wasn't in tip
top
top
tip
yeah,
top
right, right,
shape.
right, right,
tip
right.
Yeah,
top shape like he was
Yeah,
the year
the
before.
yeah.
previous year.
That's not normal. That's not one thing I would have put on. Like I was never the biggest Randall fan in the past, even before he came to the Knicks, right?
Mhm.
But I never had that. I never thought that was a negative to his game when it came to stuff like that, like his
Right.
mentality, coming in shape and stuff like that. I never heard of problems with him when it come to that.
Right.
Most of the stuff that I didn't like about him was just his game in general. It
Right.
was nothing mentally or, you know, him not being a leader or anything involving that. Like
Right.
that was new to me.
Right.
All this negative stuff that I have on Randall is not old stuff. It's just stuff that he showed me like recently.
Recently. Yeah, no doubt. Let's get to another comment Berman made during that interview was about quickly. I asked him, if the Knicks was sold on quickly being a starting point guard next season because they had ample opportunity to play him this season and they didn't. And he said that no, they're going out looking for, a point guard. Now, I think this was just in his opinion. I don't, you correct me if I'm wrong. If he was saying that he spoke to somebody and they saw quickly in this role, I think it was what
Now I
he
think he
thought.
just what he thought, and to be
Yeah.
honest, I kind of agree with him. Just for the simple fact that Tibbs didn't, start or give him major minutes over Burks at the one. To me, that was like the writing on the wall that they don't view him as the starting point guard of the future.
Right. And that he views him more as somebody that's going to come off the bench as
Right.
a spark plug. He can play the one and the two, score for you,
Mm-hmm.
what have you. That's how he saw them. And that
Mm-hmm. It
if,
makes sense.
yeah, if Quickly is starting next year, it's because the Knicks' plans fell through.
Right. I don't think they think that he's the point guard of the future. He would have
Right.
played more last year.
Right. Now, are you disappointed? If that is the case, that the Knicks don't see him as a starting point guard next season,
Mm-hmm.
they see him more as a combo guard coming off the bench, and that if he is starting, it's because their plans fell through. Are you okay with that, or are you disappointed that they don't see him that way?
Personally, I'm okay with it simply because I don't want us to just get anybody to replace Alec Burks' role. If it's not IQ, right, who's it going to be? Like, I'm not a huge fan of Malcolm Brogdon, Like if we get
Right.
him just because of the injuries, not because of his game personally, but just the injuries, his age, multiple factors, how much
And the
he get
money.
right. I'm about to say how much he gets paid.
Right.
I don't want them to get Malcolm Brogdon just for the sake of having a point guard when
Right.
it's going to completely destroy us years down the line. I want to win games.
Right.
It's not really about IQ. It's not about Malcolm Brogdon. I want somebody that is good at the job. I don't mind IQ coming off the bench and being a spark plug. That was his original role in the first place. So if he's not our point guard of the future, like I don't take it personal. Like I'm not disappointed that they didn't get just anybody to replace him, but I'm not mad that he's not the starting point guard of the future. We need to get somebody that's better than him. I don't want to mess up our roster construction or our financial stability in the future just for the sake of just getting somebody.
Right.
Because I think in that the case we're not going to win. I don't. That's not a winning formula. That's not how it works.
Right. And to your point, if Quickly is starting, and that means that their plans fell through, that's a good thing in the sense that
Mm-hmm.
it's not going to be a knee jerk reaction. We know what we're going after. We know what we want at that position. And if
Right.
we can't get it, we'll start Quickly before we'll just go out
Right.
and sign an over the hill guy
Hey.
or a guy who makes a lot of money just so we could say we fill the position.
Right. You know how many times we've done that? Like I'm tired of doing that, man. Tired of the old stars coming here past their prime and they don't help us win anything. It's happened time and time again.
Yeah. Yeah. No
Like
doubt
at
about
some
it.
point we got to stop. Like this team is too young for that anyway.
Right. Right. Good point. Any staff or Gavin, any thoughts on disappointed with that? I know there's some fans um that I think are disappointed. The Quickly Hive is disappointed if that's the case.
I mean, I'm not really disappointed. I mean, I saw it as his role from since he first came in the league, as a spark plug coming off the bench as a spicy Lou Williams. So, I and even if we don't get a point guard and he starts, I don't think it's a big deal because he already knows the system. He already knows what Thibodeau wants. The only thing me and Steph have with this kid is his decision making.
Right.
Right.
Just the wild shots from the three. That's the
Right.
only
Right.
thing I'm really kind of kind of shaky with him. But otherwise, he said he's been watching film, trying to get better. He's been going to the hole, making layups, not just putting up the floaters. When he did get his little start, he did a lot of playmaking. So I'm not really disappointed, but I still do feel like we still need a floor general. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, Gerald, I feel you when you say you bring in all these old guys, but I mean, as we said earlier, which rookie point guard is going to come in and start the season?
Right.
None. And especially with Burks there, you know what I'm saying, with the ball pressure, you know,
The ball pressure master. You know what I'm saying?
you know what I'm saying. So as I said, as I was going to say it before, I really think we're going to trade that pick out for a veteran point guard with probably one player. And that's how I
One
look
thing
at
I
it.
do want to say real quick though,
Hmm.
at least I see IQ working on it though.
Oh yeah,
He's
no
definitely
doubt about
gotten better than he was his rookie year.
it. Right.
Yeah.
Like long as I see some type of progression, I'm cool. He don't gotta
Right.
be no all-star point guard. I don't expect him to be that. I don't
Right.
think he's a natural point guard, but the fact that he's actually doing the stuff that he did in his second year for us, especially the second half of the year, I'm cool with that. As long as he keep progressing. That's all.
Right.
Facts.
And is there a difference? There's a difference to me, but do you see the difference between a old point guard that's 31, 32 years old and a point guard that's 26, 27? Like to me, that's not old. I think we're getting to the point where we look
Right,
at
right.
our young guys and like anybody that's over 24 is old.
Not to me. Not me. Not me. Not
Damn.
me. If you're probably about in your 30s,
Right. That's
you
different.
know, like
Right.
like a D Rose type, you know what I mean?
Right.
Then I
Right.
Right,
think
right.
you're kind of up there. But 27, 28, that's not old at all.
Nah,
You
man.
know?
You gotta think about some of the even the older point guards that we think is old. Like, isn't Drew Holiday only like 30, 31? He seemed like he been in the league forever because he
And he don't
has.
look like he's slowing down
Right,
either.
that's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
because
So
he had no injuries, and that's one of the things too. You see,
that's
once
true
you're not
too.
injury prone and you have
That's
healthy
true. I forgot
seasons,
how old he is.
your career is going to prolong. And I don't necessarily hear Drew had any injuries like that,
I
like
think he
significant injuries.
right. I think he got to be in his early 30s. Like at least he can't be no older than
31.
32, like
Yeah,
31, 32, 30,
yeah,
31,
I
33.
agree.
Got
I
to be in
agree.
that range.
But they're playing
He's not that old.
players are playing for such a longer time now at still at a high level. Like at some point you would see them dipping off, I don't know, 32, 33,
Hmm.
definitely by 34.
Right.
Dame is 33.
Game is less physical. That allows
And,
you
Yeah.
that
That's
allows
a
you to
good
play
Yep.
longer.
yeah, that's a good point, Gavin. You
See,
could play 31.
Oh, he's 31. Yep.
He'll
Makes
be
sense.
30, he'll be 32 June 12th.
And he a physical, play defense in your chest type of point guard. He been in the league that long doing it.
yeah.
Jarrell, to your point, and I was thinking about this. Um, Here's a difference, like where I see like an IQ and a Tyrese Maxey. I think that
Mhm.
IQ and him have a similar game. I would say that IQ is better than Maxey solely because I think IQ has a better ability to play the point guard role and be
Mhm.
a better playmaker because he's had to. Tyrese Maxey he's allowed to just go out there and score the ball because you have him beat and hard and facilitate the offense. Whereas IQ, to me, he's the best playmaker on the team, but I still don't think that that's his natural role in the point guard. Like I said, I would like him to be able to play like a Tyrese Maxey role where you're just able to go out there and score and get a bucket. Now, I think that one thing that the point guard role kind of helps quickly is it almost forces him to make better decisions because it's now that I'm not just going out there to score the ball and I'm looked at as a point guard. I kind of have to make better decisions now if I'm going to be the one to bring the ball up and facilitate the offense. I can't always just come up and jack up a three because we see where that has ruined the momentum and the runs that we have, and we see that that's the runs that it's led to the other teams.
Right.
Um, but like to your point, Drill, I think the thing that I like about IQ is at least you're seeing the progression. Um, I and now that I look at it, I mean, with him, this was his second year, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes,
I
second year.
I I almost felt like at first that it was too early of a jump for him to make to go straight from a scorer off the bench to being forced into the point guard role. But I guess now that I look at the way that the roster is being constructed and the way the game is going, I'm actually kind of happy that it's forcing him to learn this role earlier in his career. So at least that way he has these next few years to keep improving that because I don't think his scoring is going anywhere. Um,
Right.
Well, he has
I
to
just
get
think
better at his scoring too. He's only shooting 39%. Like we always talk about, oh, he's a good shooter, he's a good shooter. But when you look at his percentages, it's 39.
Right.
And I think a lot of that is his shot selection and his
selection.
decision making and things of that sort. But you got to bring that up.
See, but
45%
I
at
see, but I
least.
feel like the thing with IQ that at least um, that at least where he makes up for it though, is the fact that he shoots like 93, 94% from the line. So yes, his field goal percentage may be lower, but at least like he's making it up at the line, and at least like you can trust him. So he'll be like a James Harden or like an Embiid, where he's gonna go out there. And this is one thing that I want him to work on next year is looking for the contact and looking to finish at the rim a lot more because
Hmm.
he's got a very quick first step and he does a good job breaking down his defenders. I think that he'll get all the way into the paint and he'll pull it all the way back out. And I think that, like I said, with you shooting 94, 93 to like 95%, you can go out there and get you 10 to
Hmm.
12 to 14 solely at the line. So yeah, you may shoot 39%, but if you were giving me 15 a night at the line, Like that's something I can't argue with. Um, and I just think for the Knicks, like I said, I think it's really just figuring out what type of point guard do we want. Do we want somebody? Because I think that's the other thing. Like with an IQ, IQ will never be a pure point guard. He's always been a natural scorer and a playmaker. So if you're looking for a point guard who's going to come in and facilitate the offense, you almost have to look for like an off-ball type of player. But that's like why I like quickly with the second unit, because I think it allows him to go out there and run and gun a lot more. He doesn't have to think about a lot of decision making.
Right.
So, but I would like them to surround him also with the players, kind of like, and like I said, let him play like a maxi role where you can solely go out there and score the ball without feeling like, damn, I got to be the point guard and I have to make decisions. And that's where he learned a lot this late at the end of the year, was when to turn on the scoring and when to turn it off.
Well, if we get a better team and he's back on the second unit, he'll have that opportunity. I will say though that Maxey did start at point before they traded for Harden. He started at the point guard most of the season.
He did.
And
Before
Queen,
they
one
traded
more
for
thing
Harden.
about
Okay.
Yeah,
one
before
more
they
thing
traded.
about IQ too.
But his
If
game
you
took
if,
another level. When his role, he didn't have that responsibility, to your point, Gavin. Once they got Harden, now he can come off the ball. He can
Right.
play in the corners or whatever. He didn't
Yep.
have that responsibility, and his shooting was,
He became way
he really
better.
shined.
Yep.
Go ahead, Steph.
he also played most in the fourth quarter too. So even though he
Yep.
came off the bench, Tibbs still
Yes, he
had him
did.
in the fourth quarter playing
Right.
4 quarter minutes.
Right.
So so even if he don't start, he is going to be on the end of the end of the game when it comes to crunch time. But that's one of Tibbs guys, right?
Right. And I think that helps his development as well, because you're
Mm-hmm.
getting minutes in different situations. You start some games, you come off the bench some games, you're closing games. That
Mm-hmm.
really helps your development. A lot of people focus on minutes. There's no way, there's no proof that getting more minutes as a starter, you're going to develop faster than somebody who's getting less minutes. You just have
Yeah.
to get enough
Right.
minutes to get a feel for what's expected of you, so that now you can go into the summer, build on that, come back, get your minutes, apply it. Right? Knox got 30 minutes his freshman year, his rookie year. I don't know how it helped him. So it's not how many
Right.
minutes you're getting, right? It's just that you're getting enough minutes to know what you're supposed to do, get a feel for the speed of the game, get a feel for what it's going to take for you to be effective in this, in the game. And quickly has that. And he closed games. So he got
Right.
that experience as well. And he got all of that in like 24 minutes or
Yeah.
something, or something like that.
I was gonna say that we was talking about the draft earlier, and in terms of quickly,
Hmm.
and to say if we were gonna move up, I mean, to be honest, when you think about it, Dyson Daniels is the perfect kind of backcourt mate for quickly,
Hmm.
because like they can actually switch when it comes to
Right.
defense.
Right.
Like he would be perfect. To be honest, I didn't think about that earlier, but like if they don't view IQ as a point guard, it would be. But like I said, it's got to be in that range. Like if we don't move up for Daniels, I don't think we're going to get him.
Right.
But if we don't move up for him, I don't think we're going to get like a wing. I think we're going to get a center. But if we're going to move up, it'll be for Daniels, and it'll be going forward. It would be kind of perfect, to be honest.
It would be. But listen to this. We're so stacked. So now you're playing IQ at the two.
Mm-hmm.
That pushes some that pushes somebody
Mm-hmm.
that pushes somebody out.
Yep, it's pretty much the same thing. If we would have drafted either a wing or a guard, somebody's going to be pushed out.
Yeah.
We had
It's
talked
who?
about that already.
It's who though?
I don't know because obviously they won't
I
start,
mean,
but
I don't see Grimes, 'cause I think he solidified his spot.
right.
I don't see IQ. He solidified his spot. Um, Cam is still on the borderline. Yeah, Burks is still there. He definitely has
I hope they move Burks back to, if they
Utah.
want to stay, move him back
Yeah.
to his regular
I
his
hope
position.
they
number.
move him back to Utah. I don't want Alec Burks on the team
Why not?
because it will force Tibbs to play him at the point when he wants to.
bro.
I think he would
Not
only
saying that
play
I-
him at
best
point if
on
we
ball
were getting
defender.
Now, But now,
Out of
Jarrell,
desperation, though.
are
Only out of
you
desperation.
outside of Burks playing point guard? How do you feel about Burks?
He's fine.
Okay,
This is
so
mainly
so
this is mainly a
so
Tibbs
would
point, to be honest. Yeah, if he was like what he was the year before and the year before that, he just coming off the bench and create scoring and
Hmm.
some
Real.
type of playmaking. Yeah,
I keep telling you, man, he's top 10 in ball pressure, man.
but yep, that's what it is. I keep forgetting. You right. I keep on forgetting that he the man when it come to ball pressure, and you know I keep on
No,
forgetting that.
but I'm saying though, if we do get Dyson, right, and
Hmm.
he's coming off the bench, who is our starter? Oh, are we pushing out D Rose? Are we getting rid of him? Are
D
we
I'm okay
Rose
with
is a,
that, to be
yeah.
honest.
D Rose
I'm
is a
okay with
starter.
it.
Yeah,
with
D
No,
what?
no,
Rose is a
no.
starter.
I'm okay with moving on from Rose if we bring
Okay.
in a point guard. If we bring in a starting point guard, I'm
Oh,
okay with moving on from Rose as the backup.
oh, I
So
think Rose might mess around and start. Like he makes $14 million a year. He makes 14, and Tibbs is the coach. He
he
ain't
played
going nowhere.
he played 25 games. I can't imagine him
so
coming back and
now
Right,
starting.
right, right, right,
now
right.
Steph, you're cool with moving on from Rose. That's only if we get a veteran point guard to come in.
Any
It had to be
right. If
anybody.
we get a young point guard, yeah, I think Rose would be good, as a mentor. But you don't have to play to be the mentor.
Like a Udonis Haslam, just just be
Making
on the team.
14.
14 million is a bit much. You're right. You're gonna have to play. You're gonna have to work for that.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
got to
you got
play, man. That's an
that's true.
That's what I'm
expensive
saying.
bench warmer.
He might have to probably start the first 5 minutes and then let I and Daniel come in for the rest of the quarter. Because we
Hey,
can't play him that much, you know what I mean?
See
Probably 20
now,
minutes, 25 minutes a game.
now I would say that I would actually prefer this. Like I would like to see Rose almost, even if he's not a starter, giving us meaningful minutes. Those games where they're close games and you need somebody who's experienced that can come in and kind of control the game and settle everybody down, or closing out the fourth quarter. I
right,
said
right,
I
right.
think that's one of the where you saw us losing 20-point leads, where we come out shaky in the third quarter, or having trouble closing out close games because we don't have somebody who's able to take the ball over and just really settle down the game and settle everybody else down and make the other team play at our pace. So I
Yeah,
wouldn't be
that's what
opposed
Right.
to really just letting Rose say, look, you want to chill on the bench, cool. But when it's coming out of crunch time, or we need you to come to close the game out,
Right.
like I said, or calm or slow the game down and set everybody down, that's where I would honestly think that Rose would honestly probably also thrive as well.
Yeah.
Um,
When
But I would think he would need to be in the rotation. I think it's kind of hard to ask somebody who's
yeah,
not in the rotation just to come in and close a game. I mean,
yeah.
yeah,
if
because he
anybody
well,
old.
can
yeah,
do
yeah,
it,
yeah.
He old. He got to get the knees. You know what I'm
That's what I'm
saying?
saying. Yeah,
He got to
You
get the
gotta
so
be
knees
you
so
gotta
working.
be
You know what I'm
warm.
saying?
yeah, so it's like, if he's getting 20 minutes a game, like I said, you play him, a few 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes here, but like you may have like an 8 to 10 minute window where you're like, all right, like this is where we need you to come in and, like I said, either close out the game for us or
right?
help us settle down, keep the
The
game close, keep it
Right.
within arm's length.
Right. Because when
the
him and
last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter, he comes in and
right
close out the game.
when him and Quickly used to close out games for us, I did
Yeah,
not
Yeah,
have a problem with that. I didn't have a problem
yeah.
with that at all. They were
Right.
actually pretty good.
Yeah, they
and
were.
they're both gonna hit free throws.
Yep.
Right. Right.
Yep. Yep.
Shout out to It's Me. Anybody who doesn't defend Burks and Fournier has to go. Listen,
Burks
I was
defends. We proved that a long time ago. He
yeah, Burks
defends.
Burks is not a bad defender. Somebody's talking about the inbound
Oh
ball. It was
god.
one time,
No, no,
or
no, no, no.
maybe for
No,
multiple
no.
times.
I will say no. To me, Burks is a terrible inbounder. Like he makes bad decisions inbound ball. That's one thing I will
No, no, he
say.
says defending the inbound.
Oh, okay.
Oh
I thought
no,
he was
no,
talking
he
about.
said inbound the ball. He
Inbound the
did.
Yeah,
ball. It
no,
was a couple
inbound the ball.
times that
But
yeah,
yeah,
I get it. Like it was that one time towards the end of the game that we lost the game, but it was more times than that he was
right,
inbounding the ball when he shouldn't have.
right,
Playing point and was inbounding the ball. Make it
right.
make sense. But that's a me and Tibbs got a problem, man.
Well, Tibbs has a problem with a lot of players. I mean, a
Right.
lot of fans. But this is what I want to say to It's Me point. I don't have a problem with Burks. I don't have a problem with Fournier. To me, if you're gonna win, it's about how you construct the entire roster. It's usually not one
Right.
or two players. However, watching Boston with Smart, Brown, and Tatum, you
Right.
got three two-way players on the wing. That changes everything. You don't
Yep.
have to be like, oh, he can't defend. Who we gonna bring in to play offense? Oh, we need defense too because you got so many one-way players. These guys can shoot, score, and defend. That makes you tough. I would love for the Knicks to have two-way players across the board, 1, 2, and 3,
Yep.
4 and 5
That'd
too.
be sweet.
I'm about to say 4 and 5.
Four
Also,
and
I'm about
five
to
too.
say don't stop there. If we since we wishing, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, the Knicks have a lot of work to do. When you watch these playoffs, they're so intense.
Mm-hmm.
You start looking at your own team and be like, "Oh, we might be a little even further
Yeah, we
away
don't got it.
than I thought." Watching these teams in the
Yo,
playoffs,
even Dallas, right? You wouldn't have never thought Dallas would make it this far, right? Now they cooking the Warriors. They beating
No,
the
but
brakes off of them
Jarrell,
by 25 points. Yo, it's the third quarter.
but here the funny thing about it though, Duke and Jason Kidd are just the first year in the coaching with the
Crazy.
team.
And guess what? They both played for the Knicks, but that's another conversation too.
Oh my God.
They both ex-Knicks players. They were both in our building, Stafford.
but they were at our building in a different time, though. Jason Kidd and Jason Kidd wasn't the coach. Like, had he left the Knicks and coached, went right into coaching. Remember, he had to take his lumps too.
Yeah, he
It's
did.
from him being in the league, a while,
Mm-hmm.
having a few gigs. The Nets, I think Milwaukee as well.
Milwaukee, yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
all
I
of
think it
that.
was Jersey first and then Milwaukee, right?
Right.
Was it
Yeah.
the net?
And some assistant coaching as well with the Lakers
Mm-hmm.
that
I
Yeah.
do
that
remember
helped
that.
him get to this point. And the same thing with Mdoka, he put in his dues as well.
With the
Not as a
Spurs,
head
right?
coach though. I don't
Yeah.
think so.
Greg Popovich tree, man.
Right. But we could say all of this about coaching and all of it is true. But all of them guys have a dog, a
That's
star
what
player
that's what I
or
was just
Multiple
about to
budding
dogs.
say.
star
Yep,
on their team.
they
Everybody
have.
talks about Steve Kerr. What did Steve Kerr do when Curry and Clay was injured? Went right
They
to the lottery.
Yep.
yep.
2 years in a row, went right to the lottery. People talk about Pop, and I like Pop. Pop had Duncan Robinson, Tim Duncan, Ginobili, Parker. These
Doing
coaches have to have players.
Yep. And we could talk about the players Phil Jackson coached to win all his games
Right.
if you want.
Right. And I'm not saying what they do don't make a difference. It does make a difference because you as a coach, you do have to put your players in good position.
Mm-hmm.
But it works the other way around too, where a lot of these players are so good that they covering up for the coach because the coach is never in a position where he has to make a tight decision, because he have players that can bail him out,
Right.
you know, and we need those type of players. That's why we can drill down on every little thing because we don't have those players that can make up for mistakes,
Yep.
and that's why Tibbs looked great. Don't get me wrong, he did a good job, yes, but Randall was playing out of his mind.
Yes, he was.
He's
That
playing
that
out of his
that
mind.
season was nuts for Randall. He has
Yeah,
never been that efficient ever
right,
in his
right,
life.
right.
Somebody
Not
there
even
was a
close.
somebody made a Twitter post and was like, last year's Julius Randle was something like out of a movie.
Yep.
Yeah,
It was.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah, no doubt about it. Anything else before we
Nah, man.
get out of here?
I'm trying to think.
I think we good, man. I think, but the only thing I'm just worried about is our point guard situation. I ain't too worried about the center because I know we could get a center in the second round. It's just the whole
And
point
free
guard thing.
agency,
Yeah, the whole point guard thing is just up in the air. So until draft night and
free
we see
agency.
what happened we see what happened with Mitch and the whole free agency thing, I think we'll probably have a idea of how probably this roster going.
The Public Enemy, they did. but I'm talking about for the entire season. When those guys weren't there for the entire season,
Oh yeah,
they went into the lottery.
yeah. She's not talking about this year.
I'm not talking about this year. I'm just talking about an entire season.
Right.
Yep, that's when Draymond played the whole season, didn't get injured. He was the only player that was on there.
You
Right.
gotta think about it. They got what Moody and Kaminga this year. They got James Wiseman at the
The year
what the
before.
number 2 pick the year before. So yeah, it was 2 years
Hmm.
straight. None of them dudes are really playing meaningful minutes except
at
for I
all.
seen Jonathan Kaminga get a couple minutes today. But
Right.
James Wiseman, he top 5 in the draft. He's been in the G League. He got hurt, but
He
yeah,
got hurt.
they didn't need him. It's
Right.
crazy.
Yeah. Definitely. We need one, and maybe RJ is that guy for us. But we need somebody quick, fast, and in a hurry.
Yep.
Like
One
people
more
are
thing.
saying,
Fix.
they want us to develop like um Memphis. I get right to you, Stafford. They want us to develop like Memphis developed, and these teams that those teams have that number
I'm about to
one
say it's not the
guy.
same, yo.
It's not the same. You
But
know what I mean?
they don't just got one. They got one and maybe one A and one B. They got a two. We got a bunch of threes right now. Like
But
Right.
not only do they got like John Morant, they got Jaren Jackson over there.
Right.
Mm.
Like he can
Right.
play. Like
Right.
he can play for real, and he's young.
Right.
Like they got a couple pieces over there that we do not have.
Right. Like when you see it in Embiid and the Ben Simmons, you can look at them and be like,
Right.
we got two. You can look at them in like they first or second year and be like, okay,
Yup.
we got something. We still waiting to see what we have. Like we're
Exactly.
still waiting to see. I mean, what I mean by that is them becoming, who we think they're gonna become. We're still waiting for that.
But see,
Queenie, would you do a sign and trade with Golden State for Wiseman and
Yep.
send Mitch over there to Golden State?
Mitch?
yes,
Yes.
Mitch
I
can
they
go.
I
Yo.
thought they would want more than that,
yo,
but yeah.
Yo, if y'all don't think James Wiseman is better than Mitch, yo, y'all can.
I'm just asking a question, Jay.
Okay. I'm about to say, man, damn, yo, yes, he's better than Mitch, yo. Like, I'm
But
sorry, like he
but
just
I don't
is.
even think. But let's just say Mitch goes. Let me make sure
I'm
I'm
about to say
home.
he
I'm in the
might kill over
safety. I'm in
there,
the
but it's not
safety
the
of my
same.
home before I say
Right.
this. Let's just say we lose Mitch. Are you trading Obi for Wiseman?
Yes.
Hold on.
When they already got Kaminga
Wait, hold on. We got Mitch though.
No, we lost Mitch.
Oh, just lost him.
We lost Mitch.
So
He
you're saying
walked in free
I,
agency. Would you trade Obi for Wiseman?
yes, yes. If we still have Randall, yes. Now, if we
so
didn't have
who's gonna
Randall,
be our
that's
backup for?
somebody
Figure
else.
that out.
We can figure that out. If we got Wiseman, Cam could be our backup for.
Cam got to slide down.
Yeah, I figured something. We could figure something out, Stafford.
Sherman said they will not.
Yo, he hate Obi. They will not.
But he
Take
loved
Obi
Mitch
for
though.
Wiseman.
Mitch is 100% better. Sherwin, come on. Your bias is showing. Your bias is
I
showing
think
right
the
now.
I think the other thing about like some of these markets,
Yeah,
like I said, I think there's two things. Like I said, like when
He
you look at
said Mitch is 100%.
100%.
100%.
Woo. Showing us
when
all
you
it, boy. Oh my God.
I think when you like look at some of these other markets, I said there's two things. One, that you're in small markets where there's no pressure to win. New York is always in a win now state. It's hard. But I think the other thing too is like you look at some of these teams, like there's one guy on there that free agents want to go play with. People like I want to go play with a John Morant. I want to go play with an Anthony Edwards, a Jimmy Butler. Like there's really no regardless of how we feel, there's probably not too many people in the league who are like, I for sure want to go play with RJ Barrett. And I think that's the hardest thing too is when you're just in a place that has just been on the decline for a desirable destination for signing free agents, it's you kind of have to build your way up through the draft, and that just takes a lot longer because you're always betting that these guys are going to come in and reach their ceilings. And for us, we want them to hit their ceilings in their rookie year, And so I think, like I
Or
said,
show a little some signs. Show
or
some
show some
signs.
signs. Like I said, I definitely think it's hard to, like I said, when you don't have somebody, people like, I want to go pair up with him, you know.
Right.
So
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt about it. Any Wiseman is 17 points in the G. The only reason he's in the G League is because he had a major injury. He
Yeah,
tried to come back
he
two
got hurt.
times, and it just he had setbacks. So they were sending him
Mhm.
to the G League for him to. If it put it this way,
If Mitch
if
was in the G League,
Wiseman
how
was
many?
healthy,
Different story.
if Wiseman was healthy, he would be getting minutes
Yep.
on Golden State.
And Golden State would be pretty much unstoppable if he was
What?
100% healthy. Like he got skills as a big man. Like he can score.
And
The
Looney
thing is,
coming off the bench. Oh my
right,
goodness.
coming off the bench, he wouldn't even start. And he can give them at least an easy 16 points a game coming off the
Yeah.
bench if he was
Mhm.
healthy all season.
and because the depth that they have, you give these players really an actual chance to develop. Like there's no pressure, like you said, Steph, to go out there. Like when you talk about the Bobby Porter situation, when you've got I mean, even like Jordan Poole, he's got Steph and Clay still in front of him. So there's no, like, it's like if you go out there and perform,
Right,
cool, you perform. If not, cool.
right.
But
That's
when,
a
like I said, but you're getting a chance to see them every single day and develop behind them, it makes your job even easier. So that it's cool. Now I can go ahead and step into this role.
right.
Right,
We was
right,
we
For us, we just plug and chug. Come in
right.
rookie second year,
right.
go play.
And we need them to be so much because
Right.
we don't have
We was
players
talking
around them.
about players that we were picking at 11 might not get no burn. Jordan Poole wasn't picked 11. Jordan Poole was picked. He was like the last player of the draft in the first round a couple years ago.
Dang.
Did nobody think of him like that?
Right. And you know what? You can argue like everybody wants us to just have our young players play and that's how they develop. You can argue that being on a strong team like Golden State and having your role on that team, and then you can develop your game. You're contributing with this one little thing or two
Yep.
things, whatever you're doing, as you're continuing to add to your game each season, and then your
Yep.
role gets bigger. Your role gets bigger. You asking these guys coming out of college, rookies, 1-2 years, putting so much on them to carry a team. That's not where they are.
Yep.
When we talk about starting Obi, right?
They want 20 and 10 from Obi.
Right.
Now.
Right. If you're gonna start Obi, what you
Right
have
now.
to do is build a stronger team in those other positions so that Obi can do what he does best and add to his game each year. Like Collins in Atlanta. When he first came,
Right.
Trey Young was the
Right.
focal point. He was able to be a rim runner, whatever he was, and then you add the 3-point shot. Then you add the posting because they're not counting on you. Can you imagine if right out the gate they went to Collins and was like, "You're going to be the focal point of our offense"?
Mm-mm.
Sometimes that helps people players development. So if we're going to start Obi and move on from Randall, those other positions have to be strong so he can run, be a rim runner, hit his 3-point shot the next season, come back with the post, and build slowly over time. Otherwise, he's going to be exposed. You're going to put
Right.
him in the starting lineup and expect, for him to be in the mid range, be in the post, rebound, do this, do that.
If
It
if,
takes time.
if Obi played for Golden State, they wouldn't be having all the questions that we have for him.
Right. Because
He'd
he
be
would
a
have his
completely different
role.
player because of his role.
Absolutely. He would have
That's
his
why.
role.
That's why everybody, like a lot of people talk about Wiseman. They got Moody over there. Jonathan Kuminga is going to be a monster in like 2 or 3 years
Right.
because he doesn't have to do anything right now.
Right.
He's just chilling. Like he's getting minutes, valuable minutes in the Western Conference Finals right now, and he barely played all season. And he's
Right.
only getting that because the type of team that he's on.
Right.
Yep.
If he was on our team, he wouldn't be doing any of that. We would ask him to do too much as an 18-year-old kid.
Right. Right. And when you say it that way, it's a little disheartening because you just
Mm-hmm.
really get to see how far away
Yep.
we are.
Yep.
How far away we are.
Yep.
You know.
Oh boy, the Knicks, the Knicks, the Knicks.
Hey
being a
man,
diehard fanboy, yo, it's like, man, look at you, you lose all your hair trying to
Yeah,
yep.
stick
yeah.
with
I
this
told you.
team.
Gavin gonna get it soon. Gavin, you close. Wait till we like lose for like 5 more, 6 more seasons. You
Right,
be in
right,
your
right,
30s. You gonna be pissed, just like
right.
us, just like we are. We three people that's pissed up here.
This
We've been watching this for a long
receding
time.
hairline.
Oh my
I'm
God.
bald all up here, yo. That's because of the Knicks. I've been watching them for 40 years.
Basically, yeah, about right. 54, 41 years. Yeah, exactly. So,
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah, but it is what it is, man. That's our
Damn,
team.
since 81, you've been watching Knicks?
I've been watching the Knicks since the early 80s.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
was.
'cause if you say
Early
41, that's 81 right there.
Yep.
40, 41. Um, no, that's 14. I was 14. I'm old,
Yep.
Staffer.
Hey man, I'm 40. I'm 43. I ain't that much younger. You know what I'm saying? Like I've been like late 80s. I'm like 11 years old. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
I've
born
been
in
watching you all
79. I
along.
remember all the like the
Truck
bad years.
Robinson, Lewis Orr,
Right.
Trent Tucker,
Oh, the
Pat
Trent Tucker
Cummins,
years.
all of
Whoa,
them.
nasty looking beard, man.
Mm,
Like, I remember all them dudes,
yeah,
yo.
yeah, yeah. That was right before Patrick Ewing was drafted. Though you talk about some bad years.
See, like I said, but
Yeah,
at least y'all got to see some good years.
that
But
is
still,
true.
did you see the championship though? Did you? Or you was a young kid at the
Oh,
time.
oh no, the 60, not in the, not no,
Nah,
not those. No, I
we
didn't
ain't
see
that
those.
old.
Yeah, I didn't see those.
But you did get to see two finals.
I did get to see
We
two
did get.
finals. And when John Starks went that 2 for 18, I
I
was like,
told you,
why you
John
keep
I
Starks,
passing
yo.
seen
them
I
the ball?
seen it
Why
too,
you keep
Gavin.
passing
Gavin, I told you, John Starks, fam. You can't live past 2 for 18.
I remember that to this day. Oh, he was 2 for 18. It was
18,
2 for 18. I
fam.
remember,
He wasn't 2 for 7. He was 2 for 18,
But they kept passing him the ball. That's what I
and
couldn't
he kept shooting
understand.
it. 2 for 18. I wanted to fight somebody that day. I was
Catino
15. I remember.
Mobley.
I remember that night like it was
Um,
yesterday. I was 15 years old. I wanted to fight somebody the next day.
We had an
I was
opportunity to
Mario
pissed.
close it out
Ellis.
in Game 6.
Yep.
Mario Ellis.
We
All
had the
those guys,
opportunity
man,
to
killed
close it out
us.
in Game 6, and we didn't.
Yeah, man.
John
Yeah.
Starks got blocked in the last play of the game. But
And Kenny the
yo,
Yeah,
Jet
Gavin, I seen
had
it
a
too. I
game.
seen those two finals.
Yeah, he had a
I seen one of the easiest layups Patrick Ewing ever missed in his life.
yeah. Remember the one that rolled off the run? Oh my
Oh
God.
my
yo, we need
Yeah.
to end the
All
show.
right.
Like
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
just getting me. We
Yeah.
about to turn into Knicks and Bruises. Where
Yeah.
Tone at, man? This about to be a Knicks and Bruises episode, man.
I remember the next day. I took like a few days off of work. I couldn't do it.
I was in school. Like I was 15. I just remember being
No,
pissed
I
because
was
I'm
in
talking
school
about it.
too.
Mm.
The one that really hurt me is when, and everybody knows that game because they always play it. Is when Reggie Miller hit those 3-point shots within like less than 8 seconds or something like that. Steal the
Oh, Reggie.
ball from
Oh,
John Starks and hit a three, then come back, hit a three.
man.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Anyway, I appreciate everybody in the chat. David L, D Public Enemy,
I ain't gonna
Harlem
be able to
Girl.
sleep, fam. Like, I'm
It's
mad.
me. Sherwin M, appreciate you. G
Yeah, salute
Street.
everybody, man.
It's me. Quality Jumper. Geraldine was rocking with us today. I appreciate you. Building Blocks. Hope I didn't miss anybody. I think I got.
get those like buttons up. Get those like buttons
Yeah,
up.
get those likes up. I appreciate y'all.
And make
Yeah.
sure
Rocking
you
with me.
follow the Queen also too on Twitter.
Word, word,
Yes.
word.
Yeah,
Make sure
follow me
you
on
follow
Twitter.
her.
NBK, Queens Court, Monday nights.
Yep, yep.
The crossover. I co-host with Tony Crow on Wednesday nights. And
Yep,
if you
yep.
haven't already, get your tickets for the NBK Draft Party, second annual draft party in Atlantic City, June 23rd. It'll be a 2-day event. This year, I was there last year. It was just great. Just to be able to meet. You see people in the chat, to be able to meet them, meet content creators. Like a lot of times we get to know each other just from being on a panel. We haven't really met each
Yep.
other in person. And these
Yep.
live events, you get the opportunity to meet people in person. So if you
Facts.
All
haven't
the
already,
disrespectful stuff that you say you get to say to somebody's face. Ain't that something?
right. The link is in the description. Also, the link to the show with Marc Berman that we did today. Shout out to Simeon Russell, NBK fam. Great
General.
interview. Yep.
Word, word.
Yeah. So definitely that link is in the description as well if you didn't catch the Berman interview. And if nobody has anything else to say,
Nah, man. Salute to everybody,
Shout out
man.
to
Peace.
Uncle Freezy. Shout out to Uncle
yeah, shout out
Freezy.
to Uncle Freezy as well.
Shout out to Eru too. Die
And
Hard Knicks
E-Rule.
podcast, man. Shout out to
Yeah.
Eru
Yeah,
and
definitely.
Follow your
and
boy on
State.
Twitter, Staffer Don.
Will do.
Peace,
All right.
peace.